microphone were turned off, so nobody's been able to hear anything. That's good. Okay. Oh, and now it's lagging. You're fucking kidding me. Lagging again. This is a joke, right?
You're moving into a land of both shadow and substance. You're moving into a land of both shadow and substance. A dimension of sound, a dimension of sight, a dimension of mind. A dimension of sound, a dimension of sight, a dimension of mind.
I'm not even going to say the words, but happy Halloween to all of you. Hope you're doing well. It's time to break out that costume as it's already officially Halloween. Check it out. Blam. That's right. I'm the Phantom of the Stream. All right.
You're moving into a dimension of mind. You're moving into a dimension of mind. You're moving into a dimension of mind. You're moving into a dimension of mind.
All right, chat, let's do this. Oh, and because it's already, well, I was planning on already breaking now. Do I give you a sneak peek on everybody else's costumes, or do I make you wait until the break? Which was what my plan was. I was gonna be like, all right, we'll reveal it all in pieces, but now it's like 1 in the morning. Good lord. All right, I'll give you a sneak peek. I feel like people want the peek, so let's take a look. All right, here's the pool. Check it out. Look at all the sweet, sweet costumes everybody is wearing. My God. There seems to be some very spooky additions here. If you look on shorts, it's really hard to tell. Not gonna lie, I'm noticing it right now. It's very hard to tell on flat screen, but on shorts, you can definitely tell that I am drinking green champagne directly from that magical cauldron there. Here's the bar. As you can see, all sorts of costumes going on here. Here's the lake. All right. That's there was your sneak peek there of some of the festivities which we'll be partaking in later on. We got to get back to the news. At least try to do some of the news today. So let's get to that. Was Beanie wearing Borat? No, Beanie is a zombie. I was thinking of doing some sort of. I'm gonna try and figure out a way to do some sort of fashion show, some sort of a costume fashion show tomorrow's stream. Or like really today's stream, like the next stream we do today, because we're doing 2 Halloween streams, one now, Halloween Eve, then one later, full on Halloween. Yeah, all right, let's get to some of that news here. Start with this one, and we already did the. I don't feel like we need to do this, but you know what? We're gonna have fun. We're gonna keep to my plan. I'm gonna pretend like I never did that other stream that we did. That definitely we definitely did do, but we're gonna pretend we didn't do.
Uh-oh, looks like somebody's back in therapy.
I feel like you're not supposed to start the session like that.
So what's wrong? How can I help you?
Well, honestly, it kind of feels like everything in my life just kind of fell apart all of a sudden out of nowhere.
Okay, and when did this start?
I guess when I started my new job this week.
Oh, what happened?
Well, my boss was being really hard on me, so I very politely told him, "Screw you, old man."
You've shattered the ancient mirror. What have you done?
I'll tell you what I think of your fancy mirror. And then I spilled salt on the floor and ran out under a ladder.
Sorry, what is your job?
I'm the guy who opens up sarcophaguses and throws out the mummies.
Who is paying for that?
Not a lot of people, turns out.
Okay.
Anyway, so unrelated to that, all my plants are dead and birds keep falling out of the sky.
Yeah, okay, it's pretty clear what this is.
My dumb gar-
Yep, he's cursed. He's very, very cursed. But actually, as it turns out, it's barely an inconvenience. Okay. See what I did there? It's a screen rant, whatever. All right, let's move along to this. This is an actual story, big story that's going on right now in the Northwest, Oregon and Washington
Officials
State.
now say they've identified a suspect vehicle tied to a pair of ballot drop box fires in Portland, Oregon. Authorities are investigating the very disturbing incidents as well as another blaze at a drop box in neighboring Washington State. I want to bring in CNN's Sarah Murray. She's working the story for us. So what are you learning, Sarah?
Well, Wolf, obviously this is very disturbing. We don't yet know what the motivations are behind this, but officials are saying that there appear to be 3 different instances that are linked. The ones that we're hearing about today that took place in Oregon as well as Washington, and one that took place earlier this month in Washington State where there was an incendiary device that was somehow attached to these ballot drop boxes and caused, these kinds of videos that we're seeing here, these flames and ballots burning in Oregon. They said it was just 3 ballots that were impacted and that they've reached out to the people who were impacted. And in Washington State, though, they said there are hundreds. And so they're basically telling people if you cast your ballot over the weekend in this drop box to check the ballot tracker online. These are both states that conduct their election.
One thing I want you to think of while you're watching these images is those are Kamala votes, okay? The majority of early voting and mail and like these sorts of ballot like drop boxes have been women. There's been a majority women, right? Nearly 60%, I think. So just imagine every time you see these images, those are Kamala votes that are just being burnt to the ground.
Predominantly by mail. And of course, in Washington, we have seen this very hotly contested congressional race. And Congresswoman Marie Gluesenkamp-Perez put out a statement. She's one of the candidates, of course, in this hotly contested race, saying, I'm requesting an overnight law enforcement.
Why would I say that?
Posted at all.
Because it's true. That's why I'm saying it. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to make you cry on Halloween, but that's just true fact. And if you happen to live in the Northwest, check on your votes. If you already voted, double check to make sure that you aren't one of those votes that just got burned into thin air, okay? I know, it's a very frustrating story.
Drop boxes in Clark County through Election Day. Southwest Washington cannot risk a single vote being lost to arson and political violence. And Wolf, these drop boxes, again, we don't know the exact motivation behind these efforts, but they have just become targets for misinformation, claims from the right that there is rampant voter fraud. That hasn't been proven out, but we have seen the Department of Homeland Security warn that these kind of drop boxes are targets for domestic violent extremists. So, we'll wait to see. Officials are investigating locally. The FBI is investigating. We'll see what comes of those investigations.
Yeah, I'm sure the story is going to continue.
All right, breaking.
Oh right, I forgot there's like a compilation video from CNN.
Whomever set fire to 2 ballot drop boxes in 2 different states. So the fires were in Washington State and Oregon and destroyed hundreds of ballots. And authorities at this hour believe the 2 fires are connected, and they've actually identified what they say is a suspect vehicle tied to the incidents. That is according to the latest reporting out of the Associated Press this hour. And it actually comes days after a mailbox fire in the swing state of Arizona damaged multiple ballots. Tonight, the FBI and the DHS are warning of, quote, domestic violent extremists who want to terrorize the voting process, with election workers being potential targets. Out front now, Pennsylvania.
This is not good. This is not good. I mean, this is genuinely full-on political extremism and terrorism that we are witnessing. How it's going to be dealt with in time to be able to keep this from affecting the election, I am struggling to even know. But I really hope that some the people who are supposed to be on top of this find a way to stop all of this from happening, because this is I want to say this is like voter intimidation, but it's beyond voter intimidation, right? This is also election interference and a number of other things too. I mean, there's got to be at least 3 or 4 felonies in there per incident. It could be wrong, but yeah, this whole situation's pretty fucked. Let's quickly finish this up. Is this the AP? No, 6 ABC.
We do have smoke coming out of the ballot box.
Smoke billowing out of a ballot drop box in Vancouver, Washington this morning. Firefighters pulling piles of paper ballots out of the box. Authorities believe there were hundreds of ballots inside. Only a few could be saved.
I'm going to need police on this. It looks like there's some kind of device attached to the ballot box. We don't know if it's an explosive or not.
Just 10 miles away, but across state lines, another fire inside of a ballot box in Portland, Oregon this morning. Investigators saying an incendiary device was tossed in, causing the fire, but a fire suppression system was able to put it out. The box in Vancouver also had a fire suppression system, but authorities say for some reason it did not work. The FBI is involved in the investigation.
Acts like this are targeted and they're intentional. And we're concerned about that intentional act trying to affect the election process. We're dedicated to stopping that kind of behavior, and we're working toward that today.
Police say they've identified a suspect vehicle in connection to both incidents. Police also believe the fires today are connected to a third device found at a different ballot box in Vancouver earlier this month.
There was enough evidence.
Jesus Christ. How are all these incidents, how is somebody managing to do all of this without being stopped time and time again? I mean, they're saying it was also connected to the one in Arizona, which means that's 1, 2, 3, 4 different places, not even in the same country.
At all 3 scenes.
All right.
I'm in Portland, Oregon, standing at the site where a ballot drop box was set on fire early Monday morning. Local authorities say an incendiary device was attached to the outside of the ballot drop box, causing it to catch fire. There was a fire suppressant inside the ballot box, which prevented most of the ballots from being damaged.
Wait, is there a Vancouver in Washington? Is there a Vancouver, Washington? Is that what they were talking about? I thought they were talking about Vancouver in Canada. Is there Vancouver in Washington? Oh, I guess there is. Weird. It's down at the border of Washington and Oregon. Okay, I take it all back. It's all in the same country. That's my bad. I interpret when I hear the word Vancouver, I immediately think of Canada because, I mean, sort of a big place. It's my bad. It's my bad. Doesn't really make the situation any better, not gonna lie. In my head I was like, oh, maybe that, and then I was really like, no, it doesn't actually make it better. Let's go to this. This is a problem. This is a Halloween related problem, unfortunately. There should be only one Vancouver. There shouldn't be all of this.
This is 2024.
All this nonsense. But let's watch this very disturbing Halloween story here.
This is 2024, and this is what we're still doing. This is what we're still fighting.
Tia Upshaw was horrified when pictures came across her social media feed showing 4 people wearing long white robes and pointed white hoods, one carrying a large cross. Video taken inside what appears to be the North Sydney Firefighters Club shows some attendees dressed as members of the Ku Klux Klan while attending a Halloween party.
Ku Klux Klan, KKK, I don't care what rock you come from under, everybody knows what they stand for, who they were, and what it represents for, Black individuals.
The fact that people continue to do things like this and know that it's okay, like they probably thought it was going to be a good laugh, or that's the sad part about it.
The North Sydney Firefighters Club executive made a Facebook post Sunday night. "We made a mistake," the post reads. "We apologize to any and all of our community who were..."
Whoa, what just happened?
"Who were offended or hurt by our lack of actions. These 4 individuals are in no way, shape, or form associated with our organization. We promise to be better in the future."
There was no empathy or anything in that apology. It was basically just an apology to save face. after the fact because of the backlash. You know what I mean? If people weren't calling and sending emails, we wouldn't have gotten an apology.
In a separate Facebook post, North Sydney Deputy Fire Chief Wade Guthrow asked for the community's forgiveness, saying, most times we think, it's a costume, without really thinking of the big picture or the past.
Not even, really? Not even in this case? I mean, what a blind spot. We? Who is we? Is that the proverbial we? Is it the whole fire? Is it the whole fire department that genuinely just sort of looks the other way to this kind of shit? I mean, come on.
It represents. So when the folks comment that they shouldn't have gotten in and that we need to do better, you are right, and we will.
We've seen this.
We're sorry. Anyways, that's in Canada, North Sydney. I'm not sure what province that's in. That's an unfortunate story. If you were planning on wearing a similar costume to Halloween, I would recommend you don't do that. Now let's talk about a different Halloween-related problem, which, you know, is preventable. Very preventable. Let's go here. Khan 2 News in Hawaii.
Well, there's a chance the rain will stick around for Halloween on Thursday, and that could make trick-or-treating more dangerous. Here's Alina Lee.
Impaired drivers can strike anytime, anywhere, and on anyone.
Halloween is one of the deadliest days of the year for child pedestrians. So more children were killed in car crashes, including even being with an impaired driver on Halloween, than any other days during the year.
Teenagers, they think they're invincible.
What is this?
Invincible. And we know that children and teenagers, young adults need to be protected. And that's when we look to adults to be doing that.
Paulette's son was 15 when he was killed by a drunk driver.
The loss of any loved one never goes away, but the loss of a child, I mean, that's forever and ever with you. You have a hole in your heart.
Halloween specifically, it is definitely more alcohol related.
In 2022, Hawaii had 116 traffic fatalities, 30% of which were impaired driving related, according to MAD. In 2023,
yeah. So there you go. Halloween is the deadliest night for children, pedestrians specifically, and it's because they're out walking. They're not at home on their phones. And if you're driving, just be careful. You know, just be careful. Don't drink, all that stuff. Be smart. Be safe. Look for the little ones running around. I know they're hard to see. They're very sort of inconspicuous. That particular height. That's why we have to be extra careful on Halloween, because we have the forewarning of knowing that they're gonna be there. All right, enough of that. Let's move on. Talk about the election. We got some election-related stuff to talk about. I know you're probably very sad. And I'm very sorry for that, but we have to do it. Okay?
American voters aren't just uneasy about the election, they're uneasy about what happens after the election. They're worried that it could include everything from political violence to legal efforts to overturn the election, or even attempts by local or state officials to stop the results from being finalized. A new poll from the Associated Press Newark Center for Public Affairs Research speaks to the deep well of concerns Americans have about the fragility of the world's oldest democracy. The poll comes just before a major trial for that democracy, and nearly 4 years after a mob stormed the U.S. Capitol in an effort to disrupt it. Nearly all voters said the loser of the presidential election is obligated to concede once votes are counted and legal challenges are resolved. But only about 1/3 of voters expect former President Donald Trump to accept the results and concede if he loses. The same concern does not apply to Vice President Kamala Harris. Nearly 8 in 10 voters said Harris will accept the results and concede if she loses. Democrats and Republicans are divided along party lines on which candidate will.
It's interesting to see just how much more faith people seem to have in Kamala's willingness to accept the results of an election. In fact, it's what was that? 39% of people think Donald Trump won't accept it. 39%. Jesus Christ! Wow.
Illegal.
All right, let's go here. AP archived 2 days ago. Early vote tabulation for election 2024 begins in Maricopa County, Arizona.
Right now we're in the Maricopa County Tabulation and Election Center in Phoenix, Arizona. Right now it's the first day that we're able to start tabulating the ballots that we've received in the mail for early voting, as well as those ballots that we're getting in our early vote centers that are coming here today. And it's the first day of tabulating, so we're really going to start to see what the volume is going to be like. But it's definitely something we're prepared for. Maricopa County's hired more than 3,000 temporary full-time employees that are going to be a part of the process.
Okay. Now, I can't remember if Maricopa is one of the places that had been talking about potentially hand counting every single ballot. But the election is genuinely underway right now. With only a week to go, we very little time. Both candidates have very little time to make their case right now, and voting is already underway. Counting is already underway. So it just, I mean, seems like in every aspect possible, it's all happening. All right, let's go here to this. Let's go to Washington. Spooky!
You want me to tell the story of how this got started? Sure, yeah. All right. About 10 years ago, I was given an antibiotic that damaged my mitochondria, and all of a sudden I had this extreme reaction to fluoroquinolones and ended up with a chronic pain condition and several other ailments. You guys may enjoy your adventure in the Radiant Twilight. Thank you very much. We decided that we needed to just do something where I was at. So we wanted to create something that was on a high-end level for the people of our community to come to, but that was also going to help other people.
Is that food? It is. Thank you so much.
So we raise non-perishable food donations for the West Seattle Food Bank. We especially raise funds for Washington's National Park. Over the course of our haunt, I know we've raised something close to 2 tons of food for families in need. Part of this healing path has been the importance of also helping other people.
Okay, now we had an actual story here. Please hold.
Amazon founder Jeff Bezos sent a thunderbolt through the media world this week with a surprise purchase of the Washington Post.
Hey. I guess we go straight into that story. Oh, I hate how I look on this other screen. I should have moved myself slightly. Can I fix that? Can I fix that? Hold on. Whatever, I'll try and fix it in a second. Hold on, this is bugging me. I can't even see my mouth when I'm talking on the flat stream, being repressed. I'm gonna move myself so that I'm more visible. There we go. I can at least see my mouth a little bit. That's good. That's better. I can live with that. That's great. All right, now to an actual story in Washington. That being the story surrounding the Washington Post. Wait. I'm on the wrong video right now. How did this happen? Oh, this one shouldn't even be in here. Rude. Alright, let's go here. PBS NewsHour. Let's talk about what happened recently regarding the Washington Post.
For the first time in 36 years, the Washington Post will not endorse a presidential candidate this election. Publisher and CEO Will Lewis explained the decision, saying, quote, "We recognize that this will be read in a range of ways, including as an abdication of responsibility. We don't see it that way. We see it as consistent with the values the Post has always stood for." A statement in support of
I love that. This is such a PR move. This is consistent with everything we've always stood for, aside from this one particular thing, which is completely antithetical to everything we've done ever. But don't let that bother you.
a readers' ability to make up their own minds. That comes after the Los Angeles Times publisher blocked a planned endorsement of Vice President Kamala Harris. Both papers are owned by billionaires, and their potential role in all of this is now being questioned. For a closer look, I'm joined now by Sewell Chan, executive editor of Columbia Journalism Review. Sewell, it's good to see you. We should note, too, that you have worked at the Washington Post and the LA Times. You have led the Texas Tribune. So you have some insight into how these kinds of decisions are made. But what do we know about what went down behind the scenes at the Washington Post, how this decision was made?
Well, Amna, we know that it was made rather suddenly. The editorial writers, and I reported who they are, had begun drafting this editorial and had gone through the normal process that a very important editorial or endorsement like this would have gone through. Several drafts, edits, critiques, feedback. And up until a week ago, there had been some nervousness that it wasn't moving forward. But a week ago, I've been told that the editorial page editor reassured the staff that things were moving forward. And then suddenly, very suddenly, they learned that the piece had been pulled. And today you...
Yeah, the piece was pulled very suddenly. Wonder why that was. Where's the lava lamp? What do you mean? Lava lamp is here. You mean the void lamp? The lamp filled with void?
When he took over the paper, the slogan was, is democracy dies in darkness.
Yeah.
Well, Jeff, you just turned the light off again. That's why people are mad, because, it's not like you just made this decision, willy-nilly. This paper has been doing this for
they took down
years.
Decades. Like 40 or 50 years. They've been doing that.
Amazon founder Jeff Bezos is defending his decision to break decades of tradition at the Washington Post, which he owns.
The editorial board is not endorsing a presidential candidate for president, the first time since 1988. A source close to the situation told CNN that the Post's editorial board has written an endorsement of Vice President Kamala Harris ready to print, but the newspaper's owner, Amazon founder Jeff Bezos, prevented the article from being published. Bezos doubled down on his decision in a rare op-ed posted on the Washington Post website where he justifies the decision. He writes, presidential endorsements do nothing to tip the scales of an election, and argued that they impact the perception of impartiality at the newspaper. The statement came hours after 3 of the 9 people who serve on that paper's editorial board resigned in protest. And NPR reports that more than 200,000 readers have canceled their digital subscriptions to the Post.
Ouch. Is all off. Democracy Now! I'm not going to listen to the whole song. I was tempted, believe me.
This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, War, Peace, and the Presidency. I'm Amy Goodman with Juan Gonzalez. The Los Angeles Times and the Washington Post are facing mounting backlash after the paper's publishers announced no presidential endorsements would be made this year. The LA Times is owned by billionaire Patrick Soon-Shiong, and the Washington Post is owned by Amazon's Jeff Bezos. NPR is reporting more than 200,000 people have canceled their Washington Post subscriptions and counting. A number of journalists have also resigned, including the editorials editor at the Los Angeles Times, Mariel Garza, who wrote, "How could we spend 8 years railing against Trump and the danger his leadership poses to the country and then fail to endorse the perfectly decent Democrat challenger who we previously endorsed for the U.S. Senate?" Unquote. Veteran journalists Robert Greene and Karen Klein have also resigned from the LA Times editorial board. At the Washington Post, David Huffman and Molly Roberts both resigned on Monday from the Post editorial board. Michelle Norris also resigned as a Washington Post columnist, and Robert Kagan resigned as editor-at-large. David Huffman, who just won a Pulitzer Prize for his series Annals of Autocracy, wrote, quote, "I believe we face a very real threat of autocracy and the candidacy of Donald Trump. I find it untenable and unconscionable that we've lost our voice at this perilous moment." David Huffman joins us now, along with former Los Angeles Times editorials editors Mariel Garza. David Huffman, let's begin with you. Explain why you left the Washington Post editorial board. Oh, and at the same time, congratulations on your Pulitzer Prize.
Thank you very much. I worked for 12 years writing editorials in which I said over and over again, we cannot be silent in the face of dictatorship, not anywhere. And I wrote about dissidents who were imprisoned for speaking out, and I felt that I couldn't write another editorial decrying silence if we were going to be silent in the face of Trump's autocracy. And I feel it very, very strongly that the campaign has exposed his intention to be an autocrat.
And David Huffman, is there any precedent for the publisher of the Washington Post overruling their own editorial board?
Yeah, there's lots of precedent. It's entirely within the right of the publisher and the owner to do this. Previous owners have often told the editorial board what to say because we are the voice of the institution and its owner. So there's nothing wrong with that. What's wrong here is the timing. If they had made this decision early in the year and announced as a principle they don't want to issue endorsements, nobody would have even blinked. A lot of papers don't. People have rightly questioned whether they actually have any impact. What matters here was we are right on the doorstep of the most consequential election in our lifetimes, to pull the plug on the endorsement, to go silent against Trump days before the election, that to me was just unconscionable.
And Mario Garza, could you talk about the situation at the LA Times? And
okay. Now, let's go on to this. Of course, Jeff Bezos wants Donald Trump to win because he wants to get rid of Lena Khan and all the other people that are in like the Justice Department right now who are like, you know, actively trying to stop him from doing like a bunch of stuff that he's currently doing. It's all super inconvenient to him, and he'd like it all to stop, please. And with the money you got when you own an entire journalistic outlet, such as the Washington Post, he can do that, can't he? Thanks to capitalism. Alright, now let's go to this. This is really interesting discussion of particular vulnerability that has made both President Biden and former President Trump.
Amazon founder Jeff Bezos sent a thunderbolt through the media
sorry,
world
this is the
week
wrong
with
one.
a surprise purchase of the Washington.
My bad.
An investigation by French newspaper Le Monde found that the confidential movements of President Joe Biden, Donald Trump, Kamala Harris, and other world leaders could easily be tracked online through a fitness app that their bodyguards use. Le Monde found that some U.S. Secret Service agents use the app Strava, including in recent weeks after the 2 assassination attempts on Trump. The fitness app is primarily used by runners and cyclists to record their activities and share their workouts with a community. The newspaper was also able to trace the Strava movements of French President Emmanuel Macron's bodyguards and determined that the French leader spent a weekend in a Normandy seaside resort in 2021. The trip was meant to be private and wasn't listed on the president's official agenda. It also revealed that a U.S. Secret Service agent's Strava profile revealed the location of a hotel where Biden subsequently stayed in San Francisco for high-stakes.
I'm utterly shocked, as I'm sure you are, that a private tech company would possibly, you know, have vulnerabilities that would cause its users to be, you know, experiencing suboptimal sort of experiences.
With Chinese President Xi Jinping in 2023. However, the U.S. Secret Service told the newspaper that it doesn't believe the protection it provides has been in any way compromised. In a statement to Le Monde, the U.S. Secret Service said its staff aren't allowed to use personal electronic devices while on duty during protective assignments, but, quote, we do not prohibit an employee's personal use of social media off duty.
Okay. Now... let's talk about a place Donald Trump thinks is garbage recently. I think he referred to it as being a... what was it? I can't remember. All right, seriously though, let's go to talk about garbage, not raking leaves, not being silly. But remember when Donald Trump said that Detroit, Michigan was a horrible place? Well, he's back at it again.
But year after year, globalist politicians like Kamala Harris sold you out and let other countries loot and pillage and plunder your wealth and our jobs and our American dreams. 40% of Michigan auto jobs were annihilated after NAFTA. The worst trade deal ever made, and I ended it. I ended it with the U.
I love how he's talking about this in Michigan, a place that lost a shit ton of manufacturing jobs during his president. Millions, I think, or it was at least. Hold on, it was like
MCA, that's Mexico and Canada.
It wasn't a million, but it was a huge number. I gotta look. I can't remember the exact number, but it was a lot of Michigan manufacturing jobs were lost during Donald Trump's presidency.
And then they allowed China, in one of their brilliant moves, to enter as a growing, developing nation. You know, if you're a developing nation, you get all sorts of incentives, like things like that we have to do that they don't, including pay a lot of money. So China entered as a developing nation. Well, I think Detroit and some of our areas makes us a developing nation. China doesn't have any place like that. But they allowed them into the World Trade Organization. That did not work out too well for us, let me tell you. God bless you all. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, let's go to this, talk really quickly about this.
The racist, sexist, and vulgar remarks at
God damn
Donald
it.
Trump's Madison Square Garden rally from the former president himself and his slate of speakers has drawn significant criticism the day after.
You need to settle down. Yes, let's talk about the MSG rally. And no, I'm not talking about the food preservative, I'm talking about Madison Square Garden. It's really horrible. Just a spectacle of sort of fascist and hateful rhetoric mixed in with some God talk and militarism, which I guess definitely falls under fascism as well. Real broad umbrella here at the Madison Square Garden rally.
The racist, sexist, and vulgar remarks at Donald Trump's Madison Square Garden rally from the former president himself and his slate of speakers has drawn significant criticism the day after. For more on the rhetoric and its impact, we're joined by Ruth Ben-Ghiat, a professor of history at New York University. Ruth, welcome back to the NewsHour.
Thank you.
So we are just days from Election Day. This was probably one of the ugliest collection of remarks from selected speakers that we've seen at a Trump rally. You study this kind of rhetoric, so what stood out to you about this type of language this close to Election Day?
So, you know, this took place in Madison Square Garden, and it was one of many occasions that the Trump campaign has chosen to allow comparisons to be made to the Nazis. So that was Madison Square Garden, which was the site of a rally by American Nazis in 1939, talking about polluting the blood, speaking of American.
You know, skipping this PBS one. We don't need this. Let's go here. Just to get us into the, at least the topic.
What? People have a right to be angry. But when you get angry, take out your anger on the people who caused the problem, not people who are even worse off than you are.
But it's so much easier.
And yesterday, as Alexandria mentioned, Madison Square Garden, we saw what misdirected and vicious and ugly anger is all about. We saw a people on the floor.
No, don't do that. Whoa.
How rude. Floor talking about Kamala Harris in not only a racist way, but in a vulgar, sexist way. We saw racism on stage in a way that I never thought I would be seeing in the year 2024. Xenophobia on stage in a way that I never thought I would be seeing. But I did not notice that one of those people who was so angry, so vicious, so ugly, had the guts to take on the ruling class whose greed is destroying America. That they did not have. You see, it's always...
Bernie's right, as usual. Now let's go... Let's see. Who next? We got a few more people who had some comments about this rally. Former President Barack Obama.
So the man holds this big rally at Madison Square Garden. And the warm-up speakers were saying the most, we're trotting out and peddling the most racist, sexist, bigoted stereotypes. One guy called Puerto Rico, quote, an island of garbage. Now, illegal. These are fellow citizens he's talking about. Here in Philadelphia, they are your neighbors. They are your friends. They are your co-workers. Their kids go to school with your kids. These are Americans. They're people. And that is the reason why this election should not be close. It should be clear. Here's a good rule. If somebody does not respect you, if somebody does not see you as fellow citizens with equal claims to opportunity, to the pursuit of happiness, to the American dream, you should not vote for them. You should not expect them to make your life better. They will not help you make the... They will not help you pay the bills. They're not gonna work hard to make sure your kid gets a good education. They're not gonna help you with a down payment on a house. I mean, we have to reject the kind of politics of division and hatred that we saw represented.
Brock is 100% right on this one. It would be nice. Wait, this is in the wrong order. Wait, hold on, let me reload this. Is this right? Why is this here? Hold on. I need to reload this page.
It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for him.
You know, I guess this is fine here, because we're going to tap this again. Oh, God. Most of the videos today are definitely just all politics. This is mostly all we're talking about today. Yeah, let's go here. This was Donald Trump. This was what he believed the Madison Square Garden rally to be. Here's him on C-SPAN a day ago, responding to questions, I think.
We have a coalition. Nobody's ever seen anything like, I don't think anybody has ever seen anything like what happened the other night at Madison Square Garden. The love in that room.
Jesus Christ.
It was breathtaking, and you could have filled it many, many times with the people that were.
The love in the room for specific groups of people. Other people, not so much, but it's okay. Not everybody gets it.
It was breathtaking, and you could have filled it many, many times with the people that were unable to get in. But politicians that have been doing this for a long time, 30 and 40 years, said there's never been an event so beautiful. It was like a love fest, an absolute love fest, and it was my honor to be involved. And hopefully, you know, they started.
Just wow. A love fest is what it was.
Absolute love fest, and it was my honor to be involved. And hopefully, you know, they started to say, well, in 1939, the Nazis used Madison Square Garden. Well,
yeah.
And you know what? But can you imagine it? 1939, the Nazi, they would. But how terrible to say, right? Because, you know, they've used Madison Square Garden many times. Many people have used it, but nobody's ever had a crowd like that. And I tell you what, right now, nobody's ever.
Wow, he didn't even try to do like distance himself from it. He was like, it's a very terrible thing to say. A lot of people have used that memorial. What's that supposed to mean?
Love like that. That was love in the room, and it was love for our country. It was really love for our country. So we're gonna fight like hell for the next 7 days, and then hopefully.
Okay, that's enough of this. Wow. I thought he was going to completely ignore the whole Nazi comparison, but it's wild to hear him be aware of it and seemingly not have any problem with the fact that, the actual location of it isn't really as much what people are comparing it with as much as the rhetoric itself. But the fact that it's at Madison Square Garden and that if I recall correctly, for quite a while wasn't even allowed to do rallies there. It does have some sort of significance, and I think it's kind of idiotic to suggest anything else. All right, let's finish this discussion of the Madison Square Garden rally. Well, at least to some degree. There will be one comment we're going to be talking about more.
This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, War, Peace, and the Presidency. I'm Amy Goodman with Juan Gonzalez. Vice President Kamala Harris makes her closing arguments to voters tonight at the Ellipse near the White House, where Donald Trump gave his speech on January 6, 2021, just before his supporters rioted at the Capitol. Trump made his closing argument Sunday at Madison Square Garden. As he did so, local Democratic Socialists protested nearby at Bryant Park. For more on Trump's closing arguments and the rise of the authoritarian right, we're joined by Ruth Ben-Ghiat, expert on fascism and authoritarianism. She's the author of Strongmen, Mussolini to the Present, and a professor of history and Italian studies at New York University. She also publishes the newsletter Lucid on threats to democracy. Professor, welcome back to Democracy Now! In these lead up to this final week
She's hitting all the shows,
election, if you can talk about the comments of President Trump, everything from arresting his enemies to the enemy within, and what this echoes for you.
Yeah, so, fascism started almost 100 years ago in both Italy and Germany with a core of combatants from World War I who brought the war home and turned their wrath and their force and their violence on liberals, on leftists, on progressive priests, on anybody who was not in their leader cults. And so when Donald Trump talks about America being an occupied country that he's going to liberate, this is the language also of Francisco Franco. This is the language of fascism and violence. And, when we think about all the dehumanizing rhetoric and the explicit references to Hitler's Germany, Trump doesn't want people comparing him to Hitler, even sued CNN for $475 million, claiming they were comparing him to Hitler. But he himself has, his campaign has explicitly made these parallels, even releasing a campaign ad that talked about him creating a, quote, unified Reich, and of course, calling people vermin. And I want to say something about the use of profanity and the crudeness of all of these remarks at the Madison Square Garden rally, which of course was the site of the American Nazi rally. Because we think about authoritarianism as imposing controls on people and silencing people, and it certainly does that. But it also is designed from fascism forward to make people become their worst selves, to give them permission to be as violent and unrestrained as possible. And so deregulation, just as the Project 2025 wants to deregulate environmental protections and food safety things following what happened during the Trump presidency, there's also a deregulation of inhibitions of morals. And so that you will be not less bothered when the violence starts. You will turn the other cheek, or you will participate in it. And this kind of profanity, at women, the misogyny, anti-Black statements, the calling Latinos garbage. It's not only a tradition of dehumanization that starts with fascism and goes through authoritarian movements up to our day. It's also designed to make people feel that the foot soldiers of MAGA, that there are no restraints, there are no controls, and everything will be accepted as long as it is in the service of targeting the enemy within.
I wanted to go to two clips of Donald Trump, and these have become quite familiar. He called for the National Guard or U.S. military to be deployed on U.S. soil to target.
Now, we've watched both of the clips that she's going to play here in the past, or I've clipped them and put them on the channel. So most of you are probably aware of what she's going to bring up, but it's about him saying stuff about the enemy within and saying that we need the military to, go after American citizens who happen to disagree with him. So yeah. People like Amy Goodman, basically. Not going to lie. Probably would be on that list. Let's go here, just for a little bit of palate cleansing, in a way, at least with a little bit of comedy, perhaps.
Truly I say unto you, whoever welcomes one of these little ones in my name might be letting in a murderer or a drug. Let's get her to a detention center.
Jesus Christ.
Figure out what's going on.
This is GOP Jesus.
I was hungry, and you gave me something to eat. I was thirsty, and you gave me something to drink. And behold, now I'm all lazy and entitled. You shouldn't have done that. Do unto others as you suspect they might want to do unto you. What is a man profited if he gain the whole world but lose his soul? A lot. He has profited a lot. One soul for the whole world, that is an amazing deal. Why do you look at the speck of dust in your brother's eye but ignore the plank in your own? Because of Her emails, yes. If a man strikes you on the right cheek, turn to him and shoot him.
Jesus
That is the
Christ.
law. If you want to be perfect, go. Sell all the possessions that you have and give the money to a solid mutual fund.
Oh my
By
God.
this, they will know that you are my disciples. That you say, Merry Christmas! Christ! Christmas! That's my name in there, and I put it in there because I wanted it in there so we can all celebrate Big Boy Jesus' birthday time! Okay? Okay.
Rabbi, surely you can heal me.
My child, of course I could. But who would pay for it?
What? I don't understand. I don't have any money.
Yes, it is a sad story, but it does not make me responsible.
Aren't I a good guy?
It is super duper easy for a rich man to enter the kingdom of heaven. The richer, the better, really. Maybe get a solid gold house, just to be sure. Love your neighbor as yourself. Unless you are better than your neighbor, then tell them that they're weird, and you do not.
Wow. Wow. It's weird. I don't remember Jesus saying any of this stuff in the Bible. And yet a bunch of people who supposedly huge fans of Jesus always saying stuff like this. It's very confusing. What's up with that? What's up with that? Thought you guys loved Christ. All right. Back to the election. Supply side Jesus. High school sports sex checks Jesus.
Here in Pennsylvania right now, each of us has an opportunity to make a difference. Because in this moment, we do face a real question. What kind of country do we want to live in? That's before us right now. What kind of country do we want for our children and our grandchildren? A country of chaos?
Whoops.
Chaos, fear, and hate, or a country of freedom, justice, and compassion? And the great thing about living in a democracy is we, the people, have the choice to answer that question. During a game, and you know how you're feeling, and you know like your teammates are behind you and your coaches are rooting for you, that's how I want you to go into life. We are a new generation of leadership that is optimistic and excited about what our nation can do together. And we must not wake up the day after the election and have any regrets about what we could have done in these next 9 days. So let's spend these next 9 days knowing we did everything we could.
Yeah. Some good messaging there from the Kamala team. Oh boy, we're at this point now. Oh, thank God. I'm so excited about this. So excited about this one. Hold on, we don't have to listen to this whole thing. All right, we're fully onto this topic now, aren't we? Let me just double check on this. Actually, I really should have done this a different way. I don't know. I could have sworn I had this set up differently, but I think because of Halloween and I've got like a bunch of Halloween stuff in here, it's totally thrown off my organizational scheme. I totally screwed myself. But I just wanted to watch this real quick. I think she says it somewhere in the middle of this here. Let's go here to... I mean, really... I suspect just shill. you know, I don't think that she's an ideologue to much of a degree. I think this individual we're about to talk about, Tulsi Gabbard, I think somewhere down the line someone gave her a ton of money to just be like, you know what, all that stuff I was saying before, it was stupid. Here's Tulsi Gabbard responding to the recent comments by Joe Biden. That's right, Joe Biden referred to Trump supporters as garbage. How could that be? Sacre bleu. Garbage, you say. Unacceptable.
Not a single active duty service member was deployed into a combat zone anywhere in the world. So she is either telling us a bold-faced lie because according to her, she's in the Situation Room with Joe Biden. She is the last person in the room before he makes any major decision on domestic or foreign policy. Oh my God is right. Or she just has no clue that there are tens of thousands of our brothers.
Wait, I mean, first off, hold on, let me finish her. Let me let her finish this thought.
In uniform, some of who I know personally, who as we gather here tonight in Bedford, are deployed into harm's way, putting their lives on the line.
Now, I tried to fact check this. It was tough. I think that she might be referring perhaps to the number of troops deployed, like in the foreign troops. I honestly don't know. I couldn't figure it out. I don't know what she means. I mean, recently some number of troops, I think like 100 troops were deployed, or 1,000 troops were deployed to the Middle East. That's true. It's very recent, but I could not figure out what the fuck she's talking about.
Because of the decisions and failures of this administration. This is personal. This is personal for those of us who've served and those of us who love our country and who cherish peace and freedom. We cannot allow someone who is either lying to us or who has no idea and so little care for those who are laying their lives down for our country to get anywhere near the Oval Office.
Oh my God, hurry up. Where does she say this dumb shit?
Biden are busy smearing and attacking, and Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama, and Joe Biden are busy smearing and attacking, and Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama. They are so busy calling President Trump every name in the book, accusing those of us who proudly stand in support of him and his mission to get back in the White House to save our country. They call us garbage. They call us deplorables. They call us neo-Nazis, but we are on a no-fail mission, which is why we're here tonight.
A no-fail mission. A no-fail mission from Tulsi Gabbard. The worst bride of Frankenstein. Weird. All right, let's go on to this. Let's do a quick Halloween one. Wait, what's this? What you're saying? This is Tulsi Gabbard from 4 years ago, in 2020. You're saying? Okay, hold on. Let's give her a second.
Just explain, what is your view of this president? What do you see as his worst wrongdoing since he's been in office?
Look, there is no question in my mind that Donald Trump is unfit to serve as president and commander-in-chief. I've said this over and over again. I am running for president to defeat him for that reason. He has made many decisions that are
unbelievable. Who is this? Who is this person? I'm very confused. Hold on. I'm sorry.
I've said this over and over again. I am running for president to defeat him for that reason. He has made many decisions that are counter to the best interests of the American people, our country.
I'm so confused. I don't understand.
What you drum about?
You just got done telling me that was... what happened? What happened, Tulsi?
Let's go! Let's go!
So that was in Sacramento, I believe, the opening of Fright Night there. I figured we'd do
another big headline for you.
There.
Former Trump aide Steve Bannon is expected to hold.
Unbelievable. How is this guy back in office? Like, not back in office, but out. I mean, he's back out on the street. This fucking guy. Okay. Freedom for Steve Bannon, I guess. Dude was complicit in the attempted stealing of an election, among other.
Another big headline for you. Former Trump aide Steve Bannon is expected to hold a news conference this afternoon following his release.
What are you doing? Hey.
Release from federal prison in Connecticut today. The podcast host and political strategist.
All right, enough of that. Let's go here. Finish this discussion of Penn.
After 4 months behind bars, Steve Bannon walks free. Speaking in New York, Donald Trump's former advisor is picking up from where he left off, wasting no time ahead of the presidential election to come.
I am far from broken. I've been empowered by my 4 months at Danbury Federal Prison. Why was I empowered?
Connecticut?
Because I was able to listen, to observe, and to learn from working class minorities.
Ah, yes, the hard streets of Danbury, Connecticut.
And to learn from working class minorities, young African American men and Hispanic men, and yes, Puerto Rican men. About
really?
What their lives are and what the queen of mass incarcerations, which is what they believe.
He's back at it immediately. The second he gets out of jail. It's like he was never in it to begin with. This fucking guy. Just wild. And they were trying to backtrack so quickly on this Puerto Rico thing because they realized how unpopular that was. But let's just remember one thing while we go through all this. The Trump campaign saw the jokes that this comedian was going to do ahead of time. All right? There's been reporting done saying that they actually saw a joke in there that they thought was too far and had him not do it. Right? And so that one made the cut. And he was, in fact, this guy is apparently like a big, like, Joe Rogan guy, right? And he was suggested to the Trump team by Joe Rogan. And that Donald Trump coming on the show was, perhaps there was some sort of quid pro quo there on it. I'm not, I'm not claiming anything, but that's what I've been hearing, it's all. Now, let's go on to this. Where are we? Yes, let's go to this here. Really? Yeah, this is, here's JD Vance's take on the Middle East recently at a rally in, I think, Pennsylvania? Michigan.
Hello, Senator. My name is AJ Jones, WCMU local public radio station. I have a question about foreign policy.
Sure.
This week, the Israeli parliament passed a law that would ban UNRWA, the United Nations Refugee Agency for the Palestinians. The Biden administration opposed that decision. Now, I want to give you the floor here. Would a Trump-Vance administration support Israel banning UNRWA? And as a follow-up, would you earmark any federal aid for humanitarian causes in Gaza as the current administration has?
So,
Hold on. I guess we could listen to this whole thing, but yeah, fuck it.
Couple of things. First of all, of course, we want to save as many civilians, both Israeli and Palestinian as possible. The most important way to do that is to end the war. And this is why I think that Donald J. Trump, I've never seen anything like it in American politics, where you've got the people in the United States who are a little bit more pro-Palestinian and the people in the United States who are a little bit more pro-Israel. I think they recognize, both of them, that Donald J. Trump is the best candidate because he's a candidate of peace and
Really? According to who?
prosperity. And that's a big difference. When you've got a chaotic leader like Kamala Harris, when you've got a person where fires just spring up all over the world, everybody knows that it's the innocent people who get caught up in the conflict who suffer the most. We cannot have an incompetent leader in the Oval Office. We can't have Kamala Harris. So, to your specific question.
But yeah, and here we go. Because this answer, remember what the question was, okay? Because earlier today, Israel made it law that the UN, UNRWA, has been banned from the country. Right, which effectively bans them from Gaza because it's inside of Israel, so they'd have to go through Israel to get to Gaza, ostensibly, since they don't have an airport. And Israel guards the coast and every border. The banning of UNRWA in Israel essentially bans it from the rest of Palestine, West Bank, Gaza. And what are the implications of it? I mean, it's huge. So this is what he's got to say about that.
Leader in the Oval Office, we can't have Kamala Harris. So to your specific question, look, my understanding about UNRWA is that you actually have explicit connections to terrorists for some of the employees on the ground there, right? That's disgraceful. And that means that
there you are. He believes they're terrorists. He has bought in line and sinker to all Israeli propaganda and believes that all UNRWA is a terrorist organization because of an allegation made by Israel that has been substantiated by exactly zero evidence.
it's the entire organization, or certainly some of the people on the ground, they have to do better at vetting their people so that you don't actually have explicit terrorist connections. Again, we all want to save Palestinian civilians.
Wow. Wow. There you go. That guy could be vice president in 2 months. 2.5 months, I guess. What is it? My brain's not working. So he thinks a UN agency is actually a terrorist group. That's good.
Next on News Be Funny, Billy the Puppet. Richard Simmons.
And we're going to skip this.
Popeye's spinach omelet.
We're going to skip these Halloween bloopers. We're good. Let's go here.
It's Monday night, and the big story in Action News is an evening of politics.
These are a few clips here.
Good to be back in Pennsylvania. Good to be back in Philadelphia. Get out there. Vote. Because Donald Trump understands, and he's not wrong about this, that dividing people, making them angry, will boost his chances of being elected. It's not good for the country, but it might improve his odds.
Actually, hold on. I'm going to take a quick break here because I just realized I've been going much longer than I actually... Like, the timer right now says we've been going for 1.5 hours, but actually it's been 2.5 hours. So we're going to take a quick break, and we'll come back to the politics here. But... quick Halloween space break. Well, I hope everybody has been enjoying the show so far. If you haven't already, do consider clicking and also subscribing on YouTube. Truly appreciated. Once you've done both of those things, do consider also becoming a contributor to the Galactic News Network. All sorts of awesome ways to do it. Things like Patreon, Cash App, PayPal, Twitch, and my favorite is, of course, as always, Patreon, because it's really the most symbiotic relationship where I get money, you get benefits. So many sweet, sweet space benefits, you truly can barely appreciate them all. Anyway, enjoy this short galactic break. Oh, before I do that, I'm going to point out some people's costumes, because it's Halloween, and everybody's out, and so yeah. As you can see over there, Ernest Borgnine, he is wearing a Daft Punk helmet. Same thing for Nadia over there in the right corner. Data is now, of course, wearing a lovely sort of smoking jacket with a pipe. Just chilling hard. If you look closely, our security cat is actually wearing a gladiator's helmet and rocking a dagger. Clearly an improved sort of security. Really appreciate that. As you can see, Mrs. Jen is now fully zombified, as well as her cats, who are both rocking some of their favorite sorts of brains, that being fish and bird brains. In front of me, you got Sasha G here, rocking the sweet racing snail shell from the Disney movie Turbo. And above, if you look closely at the moon, you can see that Fry, who is always riding his Scooty Puff Jr. up there by the moon, is now also rocking a sweet pumpkin for a head. A lot of cool stuff happening here. Also, here at the bar, as you can see, all sorts of sweet stuff. Bernie the cat is now a zombie as well, and has a big old brain he seems to be trying to eat. Omega Cat's cat, who is always hanging out by the speaker, is now apparently in the night, watching. That's right, Bat Cat. And Julia Childs seems to have decided to don the Michael Myers mask and take out this pumpkin in a pretty violent fashion. Cisco bartending, but also, my god, appears to be angry. And then here's PB's Whale's costume, Seda. Seda? I always forget. Seda, I think is how you pronounce it. Who is actually the Pink Panther, or the Pink Whale. Anyway, enjoy. I'll be right back. Go back to the bar.
emergency broadcast system announcing the commencement of the annual purge sanctioned by the U.S. government. Police, fire, and emergency medical services will be unavailable until tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. when the purge concludes.
I forgot. I forgot to show you all this. For those of you who haven't seen it yet, check this out. The music is sick. I'm glad you think so. I mixed it myself for all of you and for this Halloween experience. Alright, now, it's time for us to get back to the second half. I've just been basking in the glory of the Halloween set too long enough at least, so it's time for us to move on. Let's get back to the action. Let's go to AOC here, who had a response for Tony Hinchcliffe, who is one of the, people who spoke at the rally at Madison Square Garden.
Harris will be the next president of the United States. Now, we know, of course, many of us have heard some of what had happened at the Madison Square Garden rally. And that was right in my hometown of New York. We just came from there this morning and flew in today. And I want us to really talk about what happened there and what that experience is. Because the logic of someone like the Trump campaign and someone like Donald Trump is to try to isolate that incident, when, first of all, they knew exactly what they were doing. Let's dispense with this idea of it's just a joke, or this was someone else, or this was just a comedian. We all saw there were two teleprompters right there on both sides of that screen. They were loaded with words. And it wasn't just about the fact that Donald Trump rallied tens of thousands of people, of Americans, to rally and froth behind words like calling Puerto Rico a floating pile of garbage, saying absolutely horrific things about Latino Americans, saying horrific things about women that he has said, about how he moves on them and how he touches them and how what he's been convicted, or rather what he's been found liable for in a court of law. But the reason they do this is because they are preying on us not seeing ourselves in each other. They want us to think that he's not talking about me. He's talking about some other. It's the same kind of logic that says a Puerto Rican girl from the Bronx has no business connecting with a community in Madison, Wisconsin. But I have a message for individuals that operate on that logic, that the identity of our country is so much deeper than the division they seek to stoke between us. Every day, when I walk into our nation's capital and I step foot on the floor of the United States House of Representatives alongside your incredible Congressman, Mark Pocan, we walk through those hollowed doors and see emblazoned on the floor of the people's house, one phrase, e pluribus unum, out of many, one. They want us to think that it's the other way around, that there is many and there is no one. There's no unity in this country. Because if we do not see that ourselves and others, then they can divide us so that they can sell our country for parts to the highest bidder and the billionaire that wants to buy us out.
Illegal.
Seriously, though, she is very right about that. All right. Now, let's move along to this. Do we do this? We'll do this tomorrow. We're going to skip one. We'll go to this. This was a Kamala rally a couple days ago in Michigan.
Till the election, and our team is running like everything's on the line. We got to admit it, this game is tied. 2 minutes left on the clock. We got the ball. We're driving down the field. We're doing the blocking and everything we need to do. And I know you got a saying around here that came from Bo: the team, the team, the team. And boy, do we have the right team.
On the subject of Gaza, we all want this war to end as soon as possible and get the hostages out, and I will do everything in my power to make it so.
All right, now let's go here at ABC News discussing a particular group of voters, which is being, generally courted in a way
in the
it hasn't
hectic
been
nature
before.
of this election, with both campaigns going after young voters, here's one thing you might have missed. Trump and Harris are now turning to gamers, trying to capture those votes. Donald Trump, for example, recently went on the live stream of famous streamer Aiden Ross, and the Harris campaign is now rolling out this, a new virtual world in the game Fortnite called Freedom Town USA. It's full of campaign signs and even highlights some of the Harris campaign's policy positions. But could that really sway this race with that key demographic of young voters? Joining me now to discuss all of this.
Okay. Well, I don't know if it will or not, but certainly an interesting sort of vibe. We've already covered the Aiden Ross stream. I was completely unaware of the Fortnite map. Apparently it's not the most played map currently on Fortnite, unfortunately, but it's just interesting to see these strategies happening. Now let's keep this moving. Go on to this. This is a disturbing This is pretty disturbing. I think it should be problematic. This would be problematic, undoubtedly. And people should be concerned about this as well, and the possibility of a potential Trump future here. This is CNN from 19 hours ago talking about RFK Jr. and something he was apparently promised.
I'll just read what Trump said tonight. He says, I'm going to let him go wild on health. I'm going to let him go wild on food. I'm going to let him go wild on medicines. Somebody explain to me why that makes any sense.
It doesn't.
It
doesn't
make
any sense. Honestly, at the end of the day, that is terrifying. That thought is terrifying. This is the guy that was banned from Meta for disinformation about medicines. This is a guy that was pulled offline because of his massive disinformation about the vaccines around COVID. This is a guy who...
And by the way, vaccines even long before.
Long
COVID.
before.
And his claims are completely
As
debunked.
someone was a child in school, I'm sure a lot of Americans...
So if you didn't quite catch what's going on here, RFK Jr. recently said that Trump promised him full control of Health and Human Services and the U.S. Department of Agriculture. So you're giving a vaccine skeptic, a conspiracy theorist, put in charge of HHS and USDA. He wants to put Elon Musk in charge of supposed government efficiency, a guy who's got billions of dollars worth of contracts with the government, multiple lawsuits in front of the government, and all sorts of other... Like, this is wild. If this is all true, I mean, holy fuck. The government will be doing one thing and one thing only when Donald Trump is in office, essentially. It will be serving a very, very specific group of people.
have children in school. The idea of having vaccine mandates for all diseases pulled from schools, we're going to have a resurgence of smallpox, of measles, of polio. Why would we do that to ourselves? Who asked for that?
Is it so cynical? I mean, is this just a cynical play for votes? I mean, he's on the ballot in some places. He wants those people to come to his side. He's promising the nation's health and science to somebody who is a conspiracy theorist on those very issues?
I mean, one of the sub-agencies that he did not mention in that list is CMS, which administers all of Medicare and Medicaid. So do you want RFK Jr. responsible for your parents' health care? I mean, I don't think your parents will have health care.
That would be interesting. No more vaccines for old people. That's it. Sorry, old people. Uh-oh, did my stream? Oh, there we go. All right, we're back. Oh, where am I? I just got lost. I thought that was directed at me. Let's go to this. This is ridiculous. Oh my, this guy is such a fucking narcissist. I can't believe that he's this close to being potentially president. Just wild. But here he is being asked a question about... actually, I don't even remember what the question was, but he just goes into this rant about something somebody said about Abraham Lincoln or something. Here. You
said he's the greatest president on the border, but he's the greatest president overall that we've ever had. I said, Mike, I said... Does that include? I said, they said he's the greatest president we've ever had, and then one of them said, "Sir, you're the greatest president of my lifetime." I said, "I like the first one more that we've ever had." I said, "So greatest president that we've ever had." I said, "Does that include Abe Lincoln?" "Yes, sir." "Does that include George Washington?" "Yes, sir." I said, "That's good, right?" But they also said, I mean, more importantly for purposes.
I prefer the second one. I want to be the very best ever. Can we go down the list of people who I think are really great? Does that include Abe? Oh, great. Okay. Does that include George? Really? Okay. Well, I'm gonna write that down. I'm gonna make sure to tell everybody at the next rally. Like he literally what was so hilarious is that they started clapping and they thought he was done with it. He's like, no, he's like interrupted the claps. We're like, no. This is a story that I gotta tell this one to the end here. My narcissist personality disorder, it demands it. They tell me, "Sir, the very best ever. We've quantified it and we have written it down here. That's our conclusion from a very scientific experiment."
science.
All right, let's go here to Democracy Now!, who had a very familiar face to this channel. I think we've watched quite a few of his videos here, haven't we? At least a few. I know that. And I'm quite sure everybody here is well familiar.
This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, the War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman in New York. We're joined by Democracy Now!'s Juan Gonzalez in Chicago. Hi, Juan.
Hi, Amy, and welcome to all of our listeners and viewers across the country and around the world.
With the White House in the background, Vice President Kamala Harris addressed close to 75,000 supporters Tuesday at the Ellipse in Washington, D.C., in the largest rally of her presidential campaign. The campaign estimated that 75,000 people attended the outdoor rally, which took place at the same spot where Donald Trump spoke January 6, 2021, ahead of the Capitol insurrection.
But I know many others are still considering who to vote for, or whether you'll vote at all. So tonight, I will speak to everyone about the choice and the stakes in this election. Look, we know who Donald Trump is. He is the person who stood at this very spot nearly 4 years ago and sent an armed mob to the United States Capitol to overturn the will of the people in a free and fair election. An election that he knew he lost. Americans died as a result of that attack. 140 law enforcement officers.
Do you hear that in the background? I think there's some like angry Trump supporter there with a fucking megaphone just blasting that shit. It's so fucking annoying.
Attack. 140 law enforcement officers were injured because of that attack. And while Donald Trump sat in the White House watching as the violence unfolded on television, he was told by his staff that the mob wanted to kill his own vice president. And Donald Trump responded with 2 words: so what? America, that's who Donald Trump is. And that's who is asking you to give him another 4 years in the Oval Office.
It's like it never went on. Kamala Harris went on to describe Donald Trump as a petty tyrant who is, quote, consumed with grievance and out for unchecked power. While she spoke, hundreds of protesters gathered to call for a U.S. arms embargo on Israel. Medea Benjamin, the co-founder of Code Pink, was removed from Harris's rally, along with others.
Seriously.
So they're dragging us out while Kamala Harris is talking.
Jesus.
And they're acting like everything is...
That's why are you doing this? All right, what was I saying? I was gonna say something. Fuck. God damn it! I was just totally thrown off because of the switch. And what was she saying there? There was something I can't even remember what I was going to say. Oh God, my brain is broken. I hate myself. Why can't you remember things? Come on. Remember the thing. Oh God, I I genuinely am broken now.
Was removed from Harris's rally, along with others.
So they're dragging us out while Kamala Harris is talking, and they're acting like everything is normal. So great. And here she is, part of an administration that has been sending weapons every day to slaughter the children in Gaza, to destroy Lebanon, and now threatening a war with Iran. This is not okay. There is a genocide going on. Wake up! Wake up!
Kamala Harris's rally in Washington, D.C. on the Ellipse came 2 days after Donald Trump held his major rally in Madison Square Garden here in New York, described by the New York Times as a closing carnival of grievances, misogyny, and racism. One speaker called Harris
That's what I was going to say.
Another described Puerto Rico.
I just needed a picture of Donald Trump to like dislodge this from my brain. Let's not forget that if Donald Trump goes into office, earlier in the year, the Supreme Court of the United States ruled that all official acts by the President of the United States, specifically as it relates to Donald Trump, are completely immune from criminal prosecution. Meaning he'll be able to do whatever the fuck he wants. Literally. Quite literally. He can just go around and start killing people. That's my interpretation of it. I mean, do you remember the things that were said during this hearing? It was wild.
Is a, quote, floating island of garbage. On Tuesday, Donald Trump spoke at Mar-a-Lago, attempting to put a different spin on the event.
I don't think anybody has ever seen anything like what happened the other night at Madison Square Garden. The love in that room. It was breathtaking, and you could have.
We already watched this
many times with.
We already watched this. It was so much love, historic amount of love.
An absolute love fest, and it was my honor to be involved.
Donald Trump later campaigned in Allentown, Pennsylvania, a majority Latinx city, home to 34,000 Puerto Ricans, really one of the hearts of Puerto Rican Pennsylvania, where he was met with protests. Overall, Pennsylvania is home to over 450,000 Puerto Ricans.
We're setting every record. Hispanics, Latinos. Nobody loves our Latino community and our Puerto Rican community more than I do. Nobody. You know, it's interesting because I've done more for Puerto Rico than any president by far. Nobody close.
I've done more for Puerto Rico. What has he ever done for Puerto Rico? I can't think of a single thing.
Presidential election less than a week away. We're joined in Philadelphia by Mark Lamont Hill, host of Up Front on Al Jazeera English and a nightly YouTube show called Night School. He's the co-author of Except for Palestine, The Limits of Progressive Politics, and author of the book We Still Here, Pandemic, Policing, Protest, and Possibility. Mark, welcome back to Democracy Now! Why don't you start off by responding to this really epic event last night? I mean, there was the presidential candidate, Vice President Kamala Harris, speaking on the ellipse where President Trump spoke January 6, 2021. She spoke in front of 75,000 people. Talk about what she said and didn't say.
I don't know why. Oh, that was a pretty good pause on my part. I have no idea why, but when Amy Goodman saying the word epic makes me laugh. I don't know why. It was not a funny. She wasn't talking about anything funny, but the word epic, when said by Amy Goodman, is in fact funny. Write that down.
1,000 people. Talk about what she said and didn't say.
You know, and it's good to be here, Amy. Thank you for having me back. It was a really epic event in lots of ways. The size and the scale of the event was extraordinary. Donald Trump has campaigned and bragged about the size of his rallies. He's used the size of his rallies in a really disturbing way to be an index of his popularity, his electability, and a kind of mandate that he has, despite losing the last election by a lot of votes. So to see Kamala Harris there certainly showed that she's not losing steam. And she made a final case to the American people. And she made the best case that a liberal Democrat can make, which is Donald Trump is worse. Whatever critiques you have of her, she pointed out that democracy might be imperiled by his reelection. She pointed to January 6th, not just that it happened, but that he sort of underwrote it, that he animated it, that he inspired it, his cruel indifference to Mike Pence. But she didn't just talk about January 6th. She talked about the potential impact of a Trump presidency on everyday working people, the increasing taxes on imports, cutting taxes on billionaires. She did a solid job of pointing out all of the ways that Donald Trump is a threat. All of the ways that women's reproductive health, reproductive freedom, access to IVF, she went through all the things where Donald Trump is legitimately a worse choice. And for many people out there, particularly this audience, who may be saying, look, I hate both of these corporate candidates. I don't want either of them. I'm disturbed by them. She sort of made a case for why you might want to think of Trump. The problem is what you asked me about secondly, which is what she left out. She didn't talk about, for example, what's going on in Lebanon. She didn't talk about what's going on in Gaza. And the reason she didn't talk about that is because she can't make a credible case in that area for how she's any different than Donald Trump. I disagree very strongly with Senator Bernie Sanders, who says even on Gaza, Trump is worse. Trump is awful on Gaza. He was awful 4 years ago, awful 8 years ago. He cut UNRWA. He did all the things long before October 7th. But there's no credible case in the midst of a genocide that he would be worse. And if so, it's a distinction without a difference. I mean, it's somewhat absurd to say, yeah, I have helped underwrite.
It's certainly her weakest case right now of anything. She hasn't strayed from the administration line on this one time. I think to a lot of people who this issue is very important to them, that's a bit troubling. But the fact is, I think, you know, if you're not a one issue voter, the rest of the issues, like Mark was saying, she has made the case on why she's better. I mean, that much is clear. Now, to that comment which he made about Bernie Sanders, but here's Bernie Sanders, because I guess I could do this in reverse order.
I understand
Whatever.
that there are millions of Americans who disagree with President Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris on the terrible war in Gaza. I am one of them. While Israel had a right to defend itself against the horrific Hamas terrorist attack of October 7th, which killed 1,200 innocent people and took 250 hostages, it did not have the right to wage an all-out war against the entire Palestinian people. It did not have the right to kill 42,000 Palestinians, 2/3 of whom were children, women, and the elderly, or injure over 100,000 people in Gaza. It did not have the right to destroy Gaza's infrastructure, housing, and healthcare system. It did not have the right to bomb every one of Gaza's 12 universities. It did not have the right to block humanitarian aid, causing massive malnutrition in children and, in fact, starvation. And that is why I am doing everything I can to block U.S. military aid and offensive weapons sales to the right-wing extremist Netanyahu government in Israel. And I know that many of you share those feelings. And some of you are saying, how can I vote for Kamala Harris if she is supporting this terrible war? And that is a very fair question. And let me give you my best answer. And that is that even on this issue, Donald Trump and his right-wing friends are worse. In the Senate, in Congress, the Republicans have worked overtime to block humanitarian aid to the starving children in Gaza. The president and vice president both support getting as much humanitarian aid into Gaza as soon as possible. Trump has said Netanyahu is doing a good job and has said Biden is holding him back. He has suggested that the Gaza Strip would make excellent beachfront property for development. And it is no wonder Netanyahu prefers to have Donald Trump in office. But
yeah, I mean, that's the case, right? Like, again, I respect both people who just spoke, Mark Lamont Hill and Bernie Sanders. But the fact is the rhetoric we've heard from Trump is worse, right? Has the Biden administration been funding it? Yeah. Do you think that the Trump administration is going to stop? No. And everything that we've heard from them and from people like, you know, Stephen Miller and Kushner, you know, it's all just, let's just step it up. Let's step it up. Let's literally turn Gaza into Israel. And I'm not saying that as like a justification for what's happening right now. I'm just saying in the distinction of this binary decision that is U.S. politics, because there is no viable third candidate, that is where you're at in terms of distinctions in this particular case. There is, I mean, it's like Mark's not wrong. That distinction is very marginal. I would argue that it's not negligible. I think it's something that you have to actually consider. Now this was, actually we already heard her response on this, didn't we? Yeah, we did. We heard it in a different clip. Alright, let's go on to this. Let's shake it off. Let's shake it off a little bit. Let's do a little more Halloween related stuff real quick. A few minutes of that. These people here take Halloween serious. I thought I took Halloween seriously, and then this came across my feed, and I was like, whoa. What is happening here? I mean, it would appear to be an actual house where people live. I don't see how you could possibly live with... Okay, I'm not gonna watch the whole thing. I mean, we're probably already gonna get copyright claimed on that one. Most definitely. But I'm willing to take the hit, which really is not a hit because I'm not monetized and I don't get ad revenue, so in no way will it be bothersome for me, really, aside from having to clip it out later, which is what happens to most of these sorts of vids that have copyrightable content in them that I just listen to. Alright, now let's go to this. Because, as we talked about earlier, after Donald Trump referred to the entire island of Puerto Rico, which I would remind people is part of the United States, even though it's not a state, he referred to it as a literal island of God. Or, well, one of his approved speakers at his recent event at Madison Square Garden referred, I'm sorry, I misspoke there, not Trump, but a different person at an event approved by the Trump team, said Puerto Rico was an island of garbage. After that, Joe Biden made some comments where he alluded to Trump supporters being garbage themselves. Now, since then, the Biden team has walked those statements back and said that Joe Biden was having another one of those Joe Biden moments and was actually not referring to the people, but this sort of rhetoric as being garbage, which I can believe wouldn't be the first time Joe Biden made a political gaffe, said the wrong thing when he meant a different thing. Now here's Brett Favre, who was speaking at this recent rally, in Wisconsin, of all places, of course.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I can tell you one thing. I knew I would come back to Green Bay at various times, but I never thought I would come back in this setting. But I think there's never been a more important time in our lives than right now in this election. First and foremost, are there any Packer fans in the house?
People really... In this country, people love their football way too much. That's, in fact, I think maybe the biggest scream we've heard the entire, or at least practically the entire political race. And it wasn't for any politicians. It was just for football. Jesus Christ.
I had a chance to visit with A.J. Dillon prior to coming out here, and would have loved to have played with him. But there's nothing like Packer fans, and you know, this is bigger than the Packers right now, but this is a special place. So thank you for the unbelievable welcome that you gave me, and it's I love you.
Okay, hold on. I think he starts talking about what I want to.
I see police officers, teachers, nurses. And as I said earlier, I have not done an event like this before, but I decided it's time. Why? Why? Do I even have to explain why? Because the stakes are incredibly high. Families across Wisconsin are struggling to make ends meet. People's salaries haven't kept up with inflation. It's getting harder for younger people to buy their first home. People are losing hope in the American dream. And it's not just about money. People are losing their lives. Last year, 50 people here in Brown County died of a fentanyl overdose. That's 50 too many. And our kids face the prospect.
Oh my God. Move it along.
I think we all know it. It's doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results.
It's not. I actually know what he's talking about there. He was trying to claim that the definition of sanity, that's the definition of insanity, is that doing the same thing and expecting different results. But that's actually not the definition of insanity, and is a quoted quote of supposedly Einstein, but actually someone else. But often is attributed to to Einstein, but it's not the actual definition, I'm afraid to tell everyone.
Tenure here with the Packers. Mike Holmgren would say, "What in the hell are you doing, Brett?" And I said, "Well, hell, I don't know, Mike, but we figured out a way to get it done." But getting back to the point at hand, it would be insane to give Kamala 4 more years in office. So
I try and be respectful of Brett Favre, not because of his you know, his football career, but because I know that he's had a lot of head injuries. So, you know, he's always, it's not always clear to people, I don't think, but to me, I always notice that he's got some problems with that. He's had to have at least like a dozen concussions.
So it's time to bench Kamala and put in the star quarterback.
Gotta rely on those football analogies, Brett.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I agree with you. USA, it's a great country. But we all know this. Kamala broke it. Trump will fix it. And as I said to you earlier about our youth, I have lived the American dream, but I want to make sure that future generations get to as well. And that would be
yeah, future generations? I mean, future generations won't be living the Brett Favre American dream. Okay, like one person per generation. Right? Like, come on. This is ridiculous.
So remember this. Let's make America great again. Thank you.
I missed the spot that I wanted to... Oh, fucking hell. Point is during this, he God damn it. Where? I have to go back. I fucked up.
I want to address the comment that Joe
there
Biden
it is.
made
Jesus Christ.
yesterday or last night that said the supporters of Donald Trump, us, or garbage. I can assure you we're not garbage.
Yeah. So there he is, saying Trump supporters not garbage. Well, to back up Brett's claim, let's go to this guy here. This is from a number of years back. Somebody you might be familiar with.
He may disavow them all he likes, but Donald Trump's allure to racist is rearing its ugly head in these final days of this contentious campaign. Last night, a mob scene in New Orleans after the former KKK leader and current U.S. Senate candidate squeaked into a debate on a black college campus. David Duke is one of Donald Trump's biggest and least welcomed fans in Louisiana. Duke is barely getting 5% in the polls, but it was enough to get him on a debate stage and voice his admiration for Donald Trump.
I will be Donald Trump's most loyal advocate to make sure his nominees go to the Supreme Court.
Mark Potok with the Southern Poverty Law Center says racist groups of the past have gotten new life, like it or not, from Trump.
I think from the point of view...
Look, see, all... Brett Favre just wants the same stuff that David Duke wants. I mean, come on, what's wrong with that? He's just the former leader of the KKK. And while he was still the leader, I believe, was at that time, I believe, still the leader of the KKK, he endorsed Donald Trump publicly. And there's nothing wrong with that, right? And, there's nothing garbage about being affiliated with a white supremacist organization or not being able to disavow the support of such a group. I mean, what, Didn't he die? I thought David Duke died. Am I wrong? Is that dude still alive? Am I wrong? Is he still the leader? Am I misrepresenting David Duke? I'm so sorry. Current leader? Still alive. No, but he's the former Grand Wizard. Yeah, okay, so yeah, he is no longer, I think, I don't know, maybe they did some sort of a racist democracy thing. I don't know. I don't know about the inner workings of the KKK, not gonna lie. I just knew that was, for whatever reason, a fact. Now, let's move on to this. Oh, wait. Sorry. One other person wants to talk about their support for Donald Trump. Oh, wait. No, this is a Donald Trump supporter talking about their support for someone else.
That's right. You're not Hitler. You're not a Nazi. You don't deserve to be called that and demonized.
Well, I see good things about Hitler also. The Jew, I love everyone. I'm done with the classifications. Every human being has something of value that they brought to the table. Especially Hitler.
Especially Hitler. Especially? That's not right. I know that's not right. Just sorry, just getting distracted. Let's go to Donald Trump himself. Oh wait, I almost forgot we have another video. Shit. Gotta bring this one in. Why am I torturing you? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I don't mean to torture you. It's terrible. It is not my intention at all. Let's go here to, where was this? I think this was in Wisconsin. This was in Wisconsin. Donald Trump has been in Wisconsin, doing a bunch of rallies and stuff here. And he decided to do this little gag.
250 million people are not garbage. I can tell you who the real garbage is, but we won't say that.
The Trump garbage truck. Look at it, bask in the glory. We're gonna take out the garbage that is America, which I called it. I called it garbage. I called America a garbage can earlier. Which I think includes Trump supporters, not gonna lie. Look at that though, branded and everything. It's got the logo. You will notice he does really struggle to get into the cab itself. Woof. It's like climbing a mountain.
How do you like my garbage truck? This truck is in honor of Kamala and Joe Biden. And Joe Biden should be ashamed of himself if he knows what he's even doing. And she should be ashamed because she shouldn't let him do it. She's the vice president, but I assume she's acting.
She's the vice president. Really, I love thinking about Mike Pence doing a similar thing, like trying to keep Donald Trump from tweeting. Can you imagine? Like, like immediately I have like images that like flash in my mind. You know, Mike Pence and his just platinum white hair, sort of like hanging out like a little gargoyle over Donald Trump's toilet at night, like just sort of batting his hand away from tweeting. Like come on. Really?
Is the president. She should never have let that happen. I love Puerto Rico, and Puerto Rico loves me. I don't know anything about a comedian. I love Puerto Rico. Nobody's done more for Puerto Rico than me. I took care of them when they had the big hurricanes, and nobody...
Really though, he did the exact opposite of that. He did not take care of Puerto Rico during the hurricane. That is an insane lie for him to suggest. They were devastated by... Oh my god, I can't believe he's even making this claim right now. I missed this part.
Nobody gets gets along better with Puerto Rico and the Puerto Rican people than me. They love me and I love them. I don't know anything
They love
about
me.
the comedian. I don't know.
I love them. I just think jokes about their island being trash are kind of funny. What's wrong with that? Come on.
Help! Help! I'm being repressed!
Now, here was Donald Trump at his rally here in Wisconsin, I think shortly after this.
Thank you very much. So this outfit, you know, is when he called us all garbage. How stupid. What a stupid word. That blows deplorable away, don't you think? Of course, I thought irredeemable when she said deplorable or irredeemable. I thought irredeemable was actually worse, but deplorable seemed to catch up. But this garbage stuff blows it away. So I'm in this beautiful plane. I'm enjoying myself. I have a wonderful suit on. And one of my...
Jesus Christ. He is playing such a victim over this thing. Like, oh my God. How could you call my supporters garbage? That is horrible. I would never say anything like that about anyone. Ever. Wait, I need like some harp music in the background. Actually... Just kidding. All right, let's go here.
We have people coming into the country or trying to come in. We're stopping a lot of them. But we're taking people out of the country. You wouldn't believe how bad these people are. These aren't people. These are animals. And we're taking them out of the country at a level that...
Whoa.
Illegal.
Animals. I mean, it's not the same as garbage, but geez, that seems pretty dehumanizing. Weird.
Using vulgar language, President Trump today questioned why the United States would allow people from Haiti and Africa into the country, describing those places using an expletive while suggesting people from Norway might...
An expletive, you say? What expletive was that?
A fucking bitch.
No, I don't think that was it.
Let's not kid ourselves. Let's not pretend or dance around it. The sentiment the president expressed today is a racist sentiment.
Personally, as someone from South Shithole, I'm offended, Mr. President. Okay, I'm offended.
I think the president's comments were ugly. I think they were disgusting.
That's right, I remember now. Shithole. Now, I don't know about you. Me personally, when I think of shithole, I think of garbage. In many ways, I find there to be a lot of parallels, a lot of sort of... You can sort of relate back to each other, a lot of synonym sort of, you know, very similar sort of ideas, right? And in fact, I would maybe, depending on the context, take the garbage over the shithole. Just saying. It depends contextually, I'm sure, but you know, in some ways, it sounds better than that. So yeah, weird. I mean, for him to be currently making all this fuss about all the about this comment, about this supposed garbage comment about his supporters. Well, he's been saying about entire countries, groups of people, ethnic groups, you know, immigrants. I mean, pretty much anybody he doesn't like, he says stuff like that. So I just don't understand why he's shocked and or like feigning being upset about it when in fact he is the king of this sort of horrifying language. All right, let's end the general discussion of U.S. politics. We've gone on much too long. Let's end it with this.
it's very likely we won't have a clear winner on the night of the election. It's also more than plausible that there's going to be controversy around the election until, you know, January 20th, when someone gets inaugurated on that day. We have a couple of stories just off the top. The idea of mass deportation, that's for reals. I really do think that that is going to be the plan. This notion of the Fifth Circuit, I mean, it just shows you, like, you know, how important something like that Colin Allred race is. Because if we have one Texas senator and we hold the Senate, the chances of sort of like breaking up the Fifth Circuit over the course of the next 4 years, not breaking it up totally, but putting a couple more Democrats on there and disempowering that. Because every day we're talking about some ruling out of the Fifth Circuit. This one undercuts the National Labor Relations Bureau. This stuff is hugely important, and actionable. We can stop mass deportations. It's actionable. This is not, this is not a drill. Molly Redd and Andy Kroll are going to talk to us about a guy who was Donald Trump's former, Office of Management and Budget, which basically it's like the COO of the country. Although I got to be clear, I don't know really what a COO does, but Chief of Operations, the guy who's going to be responsible for really dismantling the administrative state. And this time around, Steve Bannon announced that's what they wanted to do the first time around with Donald Trump. They just didn't know how to do it. But this guy that we're going to be talking about, he's the one who came up with that whole Schedule F thing in the waning days of the Trump administration. This is all real. It's all real. It will impact the lives of millions upon millions of people for potentially decades. In the meantime, I heard this morning.
Wait, is it right here that he plays the CNN clip? No. Hold on. Please hold. Yeah, it's towards the end. Start right here.
Minds of people who maybe have issue with black people, or maybe have issue with, like, can a woman really be president? Is that allowed? Here is CNN in this barbershop. This is from yesterday.
One topic of conversation has been the idea that some men don't want to vote for a woman president. Do you think that's a factor?
I hear that a lot.
Yeah. What do they say?
Women are too emotional to run the country.
What do you think of that?
What do I think of that? I'm married. You think I'm about to answer that?
You know what I think of when he says that? This is what I think of. That's what I think of. Yeah, oh yeah, women, so emotional. Right. Have you met Alex Jones?
What do I think of that? I'm married. You think I'm about to answer that?
Or I don't know.
I did everything right and they indicted me.
You don't think that guy has some emotional problems? Get the fuck out.
What do you think of that?
What do I think of that? I'm married. You think I'm about to answer that?
Well, what do you say to him?
What do I say to him?
Yeah, when they say that.
I tell them the same thing I told you. I'm married, so, and my wife run my household.
This is such a pathetic answer.
You know what?
I'm married. You know what, dude? Take a stance. Quit hiding behind your wife. Okay, just say what you're thinking, pal. It's not that hard. Stop trying to be so. But I mean, he's at his place of work, so I can understand this being a difficult conversation. But I mean, come on, dude. Hey, if you don't have a problem hiding behind your wife, you shouldn't have a problem hiding behind a woman president.
I mean, this woman is dangerous, ladies and gentlemen.
If they run a household like that, they could. I believe they can do it. I just thought about it. I believe a woman could.
Here we go. We got there.
Run the presidency. I believe that.
On top.
I mean, you know, this is the way that people are making their decision about voting. We just need to send somebody from CNN to every single voter and say, how about thinking about it for 5 minutes?
Yeah, I mentioned this the other day. But
do you think we have time for that? I'm trying to do the math.
Matt Dust's podcast, he had on a guy named Chris Schell on episode 202, October 27th. Who Matters? Foreign Policy's Place in the Presidential Election with Chris Schell, but it's mainly geared toward the black turnout specifically. And things that come up are like Gaza, Ukraine, immigration, climate change, and China. And a lot of this is like, think about Biden and what's he saying? Look at NATO and look at all we're doing for like standing with our allies. And there's certain things where people say like, well, what about us? What's going on with our community? And I think that's more real than the misogyny thing is going to be covered, I think, a lot, and it probably will be. There's a lot of people that will elaborate that as a reason, but I think like the real problem is why can't we turn people out for their own, like we're mentioning crypto and stuff like that. I don't know. I think that's the real problem here. If she loses those margins.
Well, I mean, we're going to have to see. If she loses, there's no doubt that the Gaza policy inhibited turnout. I mean, there's just going to be no doubt about it.
And just general form.
Yeah. I think that's pretty obvious. I think it must be obvious to their team as well that it's going to be one of the biggest drags right now. And what they do about it at this point, I don't even know. With 7 days left, what do you do at this point to show any real change? Hard to say. All right, now to transition us into talking about some other stuff, let's go here to the White House. Where they're doing Halloween the presidential way.
Distinguished guest, please welcome the President of the United States and First Lady Jill Biden.
Oh my God. Jill Biden is a panda. I'm blown away. Wasn't expecting that one. I mean, this is insane, right? Like, this is freaking nuts. What is happening? Hold on, I'm turning off that. I'm just gonna turn on our Halloween music because I don't know if we're gonna get copyright struck for that one, but we might as well listen to something better than that. I love how at 2x, Joe Biden seems almost normal. Oh my God, Anthony Blinken's there giving out candy too? Jesus Christ. It's the worst Halloween ever. Can I be uninvited from this Halloween? I think these two must have coordinated. This can't be an accident. You have two babies, both in tiger outfits, standing right next to each other. Oh my god, really? Somebody showed up in a raptor costume? Where's the raptor? I saw a raptor. There it is. Go back. Nice. I guess maybe it's a T-Rex. I don't know. It's hard to tell with sort of blow up raptor costumes or dinosaur costumes. All right, let's move it along. Let's go to this. From Natural Habitat Shorts has a fact for us. I don't know if you know this, but apparently in the fall, snakes steal the dens and homes of rodents and usually eat them to prepare for winter. Sounds horrible.
What do we think? Has everything you wanted, right?
Yeah, I love the open concept kitchen.
Don't get me started on that backyard. Excuse
I just realized I'm on 2x still from trying to watch Biden hand out candy to children. Maybe he should send candy to Gaza. It's a joke. It's a joke. A bad one at that. Alright, back.
What do we think? Has everything you wanted, right?
Yeah, I love the open concept kitchen.
Don't get me started on that backyard.
Excuse me. Can I help you?
So? Did we find your dream home?
No, this house isn't for sale.
We'll take it.
I think you're confused.
Congratulations, Matt and Jen, on your beautiful new home.
Please get out.
Tune in next
Please
week
get out.
for more Den Devourers.
Oh. This is terrible. Okay. Now let's go to this. This happened. This didn't happen. This is a
I think it's really important that people know that we're practicing and working hard to make sure.
Sorry. This was a story from, what was this? Actually, yeah, this is a story from a day ago. Yeah. So this is in Portland. They are doing emergency response training and drills here for potential earthquakes, as Portland is right along a massive fault line. The city is often waiting for quote-unquote the big one.
I think it's really important that people know that we're practicing and working hard to make sure that in the event of an earthquake, we're prepared.
On the news now, the city of Portland is testing its emergency response to a major earthquake. The statewide exercise is called Iron Ore 24, and cities all across Oregon are participating in a 2-day earthquake simulation exercise.
K2's Emily Gersh joins us live now from southeast Portland. So, Emily, how long has this been in the works?
Well, over a year, Deb, and while scientists can't predict what day an earthquake will hit, what I learned today is applicable to emergencies of any kind.
We're in that time frame where we could experience another one at any time, so we're getting ready.
Portland is in the Cascadia subduction zone, which hasn't produced an earthquake since 1700. But scientists say there's a 37% chance a major earthquake could rock the region within the next 50 years. That's why state and local officials are asking residents to be 2 weeks ready in the event that basic services like food, water, and emergency medical systems are impacted. From Tuesday to Wednesday,
So yeah, they were preparing for a potential big earthquake. Let's go here to this Halloween-related story. 2,471-pound pumpkin wins California contest.
Rudy, 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 Rudy. All right, Al, thank you. Thank you, buddy. And they're bringing her over the scale.
That is a huge fucking pumpkin.
Actually, his name's Rudy, right?
Yes, this was named Rudy. We didn't get off to the greatest of starts, and I'm like, we're going to need a come from behind story.
Great football movie.
The fact that it needs a literal crane to move this pumpkin is insane. Wait, what's that? Ahem. We better go back to Portland. Oops, sorry, I went the wrong way. What happened?
All right, a Colorado river is turning neon green.
What happened? I fucked up. This is from earlier today.
Rudy, Rudy.
New at 4 today, a 6.0 magnitude quake off the Oregon coast. This happened in the past few hours. It was recorded about 180 miles west of Coos Bay, right at 1:15. So far, there's no reports of damage or injuries, and the quake is really too small to generate a tsunami. But geologists say this is a good reminder to stay actively prepared.
Phew. I guess that's not the big one, but the fact that it happened less than 24 hours after they were doing those drills is pretty, I mean, wow. How is that thing broken down? The pumpkin? How is the pumpkin broken down? I have no idea.
Rudy.
What do you mean by breaking down? Like processed into more pumpkin stuff?
All right, a Colorado river is turning neon green temporarily. No, this is not a Halloween prank, but it's actually part of a test from the U.S. Geological Survey. They're dropping green dye into the Fraser River to determine how much groundwater is seeping into it. This dye becomes less concentrated as more groundwater enters the stream. So the researchers say the data can help with the proper management of that river.
And that groundwater helps to keep the river at a constant temperature. And that helps fish habitat, helps maintain fish habitat, and then also helps to maintain constant flows for human usage.
And that river may still appear green for the next 24 hours. Researchers say that while the dye is non-toxic, you should avoid letting pets enter the water as it may temporarily dye their fur bright green.
Well, that's creepy. Green rivers. Yeah, you keep that. That's all you. By all means. That bear looked hungry. Alright, where are we right now? Yeah, I think it's probably time to do that. Well, I hope you have all been enjoying this Halloween Eve stream. If you haven't already, make sure to hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe. Once you've done both of those things, I would recommend you also consider becoming a contributor to the Galactic News Network, as we are funded entirely by viewers like you. You become a patron on Patreon for just $3 a month, where space benefits unseen by the rest of the goddamn galaxy await. You can also contribute on Cash App as well as PayPal. Also, Twitch is in that mix too. Anyway, chat, the choice is up to you. Make the galactic decision. Alright, well, enjoy this space intermission. Grab yourselves a drink, maybe a snack, and I will be right back. Alright, I'm back. Time for the second half? Whatever it is. I think it's probably gonna be the final half. How much do we have left? Yeah, I'll probably do this in one half. Actually, we've taken one break, right, already? Yeah. Yeah, I'm not losing my mind. We took a break. Final half. You like the Halloween music? Thank you. Thank you. I mean, I didn't make it all. I just compiled it and mixed it. Where's the office? There it is. Okay. Final halftime. Let's do it. It's going to combine both Earth, environmental news, space news, all the things. Let's go here first to this shocking discovery in South America. I'm sorry, not in South America. This was in Mexico. What am I talking about? In Mexico. That's my bad. Oh my god, my brain is broken. Uh-oh. Are we muted? What's happening? Why can't I hear anything? Please hold. What? Stop that. Why? Why can't I hear anything? This is South of America. That's right. That's what I meant. I meant South of America. Thank you, Bad Lefty. What the fuck is going on? Is it just this video? No. What? What is happening? Hold on. I have an idea of what the culprit might be. Oh, this is incredibly annoying. You hear me but not the video. Yeah, I think I know what's going on. Yeah, called it. Okay, let's try this again. Fingers crossed. Knock on wood.
Archaeologists have discovered a huge ancient city hidden underground in Mexico, which may give a better understanding of the Maya civilization. Known for their distinctive temples and cities which stood for centuries, but due to factors such as war and disease, the Mayans faded into obscurity around 300 years ago. However, thanks to modern technology, including radar, archaeologists are now able to uncover the civilizations in their native North and Central American countries, as Georgina Ranard explains.
Deep in the Central American jungle, the trees are hiding treasures. Radar fired from a plane peers through the canopy to search for ruins. This is in Guatemala, but archaeologists have now discovered another huge city, this time in Mexico. They're calling it Valeriana.
Now, we don't have any pictures of Valeriana. That's because no one's been there for hundreds of years. So we thought we'd show you what it might have looked like here in this virtual studio. This is a Mayan pyramid temple, similar to the ones that would have been found in the city. People worshipped here, brought riches like jade masks, and even buried the dead. In total, the team found almost 7,000 buildings in an area of the jungle about the size of Edinburgh.
Up to 50,000 people may have lived in this area at its peak in the 9th century. Alongside houses, the archaeologists found evidence of amphitheatres, plazas, and even a sports field for an ancient ball game.
It would have been a very colorful, very lush, and I think very striking environment to move through. Things like palaces and temple pyramids. All of those would have been covered in lime plaster and then painted red, pink, and yellow and black. There would have been clusters of buildings where people mostly spend their time making ceramics or mostly spend their time shaping stone tools. This part of the world, there's some evidence for marketplaces.
It took centuries, but war, climate change, and the Spanish invasion caused the collapse of the Mayans. But their descendants...
Okay. And so that was a fascinating story. Unfortunately, they don't have any actual pictures of the thing. That would be really cool to see, but nothing yet. We will hopefully see more about that later on. Now let's go here. I don't know if you know this, but chipmunks, not only do they love nuts, but they have little cheek pouches that they use to store food in them with. That's why they have those very sort of cute, chubby cheeks.
All right, will that be paper or plastic?
Mouth.
Pardon?
Mouth.
take your receipt.
This is horrifying. Oh, God.
Hey, happy Halloween, little buddy.
What is going on?
Well, aren't you gonna say trick? Hey, happy Halloween, little buddy. Well, aren't you gonna say trick or treat?
Mouth.
Why do you keep doing this to me? I hate you.
Please take your receipt.
His mouth is just full of candy. It's hilarious. Mouth. Mouth. Alright, now let's go down to actual South America, to the Amazon, where they have been experiencing severe drought in the Amazon River Basin, which is a place you don't usually associate with drought. Usually, I mean, you know. Me personally, when I think of the Amazon River Basin in the largest tropical rainforest in the world, I think wet. I don't think dry. It's just me. And as you can see, I mean, there's huge areas of land here that probably aren't supposed to be, you know, dry, right? Especially this area that looks really muddy. I think these are floating houses right here. They're intended to be in the water. So, you know, when you see them back on the land, it's not where they're supposed to be.
Bueno, el río Amazonas en el historial nunca había bajado más de...
Oh, right. They speak in Portuguese this whole time, and I don't speak that. So let's go to Spain. As they were, in the last 24 hours, hit by a massive storm, causing just unbelievable flooding in this area. My God. Look at these fucking pictures. This is insane. Flash flood came down. It was raining here. It was already coming down with pine trees, branches, and everything at the same time. Came down very strongly. And this is one of the earlier reports of this. The most recent reporting I've seen is that nearly 100 people have died from this flood in Spain.
We're going to begin in Spain, where authorities say 51 people have died and dozens are unaccounted for in flash floods in the region around Valencia. Well, they say the dead include 4 children. Rescue efforts have continued through the night, the military saying that it had helped evacuate 4 communities in and around the city of Valencia. Well, let's get the latest now by speaking to the BBC's Guy Hedgecoe. He's joining us from Madrid. Guy, thanks for coming up for us. How worrying is the situation there in Valencia?
Well, it's extremely worrying. You mentioned that death toll there of at least 51 people dead, that number that we've been given by the Spanish Interior Ministry. But the concern is that that death toll could rise even further, and that's because there are still people missing in the Valencia region and elsewhere, the surrounding regions, which have also been heavily affected by this flooding. The rescue attempts and search for missing people still go on. A lot of people spent the night on the roofs of their houses or other buildings and petrol stations, for example, as they waited for the floodwaters to subside and waited for rescuers to reach them. Other people...
This is just unbelievable. I mean, we've been seeing so many of these fucking storms recently. Deadly storms. Taking dozens and dozens of people's lives from rain and or storm-related shit like wind. And it is heartbreaking. It is, you know, what people are calling the new normal. And if this is the new normal, having to be scared of storms all the time, I'd say it's not a great existence for humanity. We should probably try and figure out a way to make it the old normal. And, you know, maybe start doing some stuff to fix the climate. I don't know.
Took refuge in their cars and other vehicles, but we have seen some devastating images of cars just being pushed along the streets of towns across Valencia by the floodwater. And there's been tremendous disruption to transport links as well, both air travel and rail links, and also a lot of roads are still closed, particularly across the Valencia region.
We're playing out those dramatic pictures as well coming out of Valencia, and as you mentioned, many of those stranded in trucks and cars, spending the night at their rooftops or bridges waiting to be rescued. What challenges at the moment, Guy, are authorities telling you they have in front of them when they're trying to reach some of those affected areas?
Well, I mean, the authorities have said that people should obviously avoid unnecessary travel. That was a message we got from Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez, who's returning.
All right, now let's move on. I think there's a few more of these to look at as images came in. Actually, we'll skip this one. This one's super long. We got a statement from... We're going to go to this one. This is the more recent one. Yeah.
We start in Spain, where the government has declared 3 days of mourning after at least 72 people were killed in devastating flash floods in the eastern Valencia and southern Andalusia regions. Let's take a look at some of the pictures here from Malaga showing the extent of what's happened. In one town near Valencia, more than a year's worth of rain fell in just 8 hours. Dozens of people remain unaccounted for, and local officials say it's impossible to put a final figure on the number of people who have died. Well, here's more footage uploaded to social media showing the chaos in Valencia.
Holy fucking shit.
Away. Spanish Prime Minister
has
promised to use all means available to help victims. Pedro Sanchez said,
"Oh my God." Because I've been so focused on trying to get all the decorations for Halloween done and my costume and everybody else's costumes done, I feel like I've been listening even more than watching lately than I usually am, and I missed all of these images. I was just listening to these. Holy... I need to go back. That was insane.
Hours. Dozens of people remain unaccounted for, and local officials say it's impossible to put a final figure on the number of people who have died. Well, here's more footage uploaded to social media showing the chaos in Valencia, cars swept away. Spanish Prime Minister has promised to use all means available to help victims. Pedro Sanchez said those who had suffered would not be abandoned and their communities would be rebuilt. Well, now let's show you what rainfall is expected to look like in the coming days. You can see here, well, frankly, more torrential downpours, more flooding is expected as the week goes on. This is Thursday going into Friday. Here's our Madrid correspondent, Guy Hedgecoe.
In a country more used to drought than downpours,
that is almost going over the edge there. You can see it's like only a few inches, like 6 inches away, maybe a little more.
The extreme rainfall that has battered parts of Spain took many people by surprise. Emergency services have gone to great lengths to reach people as the number of dead continues to rise. They work through the night, searching floodwater and debris for those who may have been left behind. The Valencia region has been the hardest hit.
Wow,
Homes
look
were
at
flooded,
those.
cars were washed through streets, and bridges collapsed.
A flash flood came down. It wasn't raining here, but it came down from the mountain. It was already coming down with pine trees, branches, and everything at the same time. It came down very strongly. Yes, it went all the ravine down, and one of these bridges broke down as the water jumped to the road, taking 3 or 4 cars with it.
A house disappeared after the flood. A house at the entrance of the town just disappeared, and there are at least 2 people who they don't know if they're still missing or not. Well, I'm not from here, my wife is, but a 90-year-old man here said he hadn't seen anything like this ever in his life.
Schools have been closed down. Many roads remain inaccessible, as rail and air links were also affected. Eastern parts of Spain are used to heavy rainfall at this time of year, but these flash floods are the worst the area has seen in at least 4 decades. Guy Hedgecoe, BBC News, Spain.
I just want to show you some of the latest pictures we have here at the BBC. Take a look at these images. You can see the impact of the floodwater. This is near Requena, which is west of Valencia. And you get a real sense of the...
We've been seeing too many images like this just all over the world. You'd think it would wake people up to the state of things. Yet so many people just seem to go on not knowing about these things or not caring about them. One of the two, or a combination of both. Not everyone, clearly, but...
There's been horrible, devastating flooding in Spain, in Valencia, other places all in Spain. At the same time, in the United States, we are heading to record flash.
Yeah, very true. I guess we can just keep watching this one. I don't know,
out here in October. How can you have these 2 things happening at the same time? And the answer is they're connected. They're connected because of something called the jet stream. This is this river of air high above Earth, and the more it slows down, the more it gets stuck, the wavier it gets, then weather systems get stuck in a place. So if it's raining a lot in Spain, you get a lot more rain because it's not moving. One of the latest theories with climate change is that the jet stream at times gets wavier and stuck more often because of climate change, specifically because the Arctic is warming faster than other parts of the world. There is one clear climate change connection scientists have told me, and that is basic physics. The air holds more moisture when it's warmer. As a matter of fact, for every degree Celsius, it's 7% more moisture. It has warmed.
Yeah, that would be certainly a pretty good explanation of all this, wouldn't it? You just noticed my Halloween costume just now? Okay. Well, I mean, I'm glad you finally noticed it. Alright, now let's go here. This was gross. That's the only way to put it. Let's go to India's Yamuna River, which is currently covered in toxic foam. Phantom of the Space Opera? Clearly I'm the Phantom of the Stream. Duh. Duh. Although I like that too. Phantom of the Space Opera is pretty good. This is just gross. And this is just a 2-hour video of more foam. Like, it's just foam on foam on foam. More and more foam just coming seemingly forever. No end to it. It's gross. Probably due to toxic dumping. India has a serious problem with dealing with all of the industrial manufacturing waste that is being caused in their country, and it is pretty detrimental to the environment that Indian people are living in and sort of people surrounding. What's the bet on there being a garment factory above it? I don't know what the line is on that, but I'm willing to bet that that's a pretty strong chance. Alright, let's go to space news. Here's CBS from 18 hours ago. New crew with China's first female space engineer docks at Chinese space station.
China.
Check this out. A Chinese spacecraft carrying a 3-person crew, including the country's first female space engineer, has successfully docked with China's orbiting space station. The crew blasted off, as you see right here, from northwestern China overnight and are expected to stay aboard the space station until April or May of next year. The launch comes as Beijing seeks to expand its exploration of space with the aim of putting a person on the moon by 2030. NASA is planning to land astronauts on the moon for the first time in over 50 years in 2026.
Okay. Well, what next? Let's get back to Halloween stuff. I don't know how quickly I'm going to get copyright struck for it, but let's give it a shot.
You're watching TV Land at 11 on a Friday night. Think about it. And now, Colgate presents Vincent Price's Halloween Special. Now, please welcome your host, Spawn of Moloch, Vincent Price.
All Hallows Eve, when the minions of Sam Hain come back. Guys, I'm not fully up yet. You gotta keep pressing the...
I really do love this skit.
To wreak havoc on the...
Can't lie. It's a good one. Ah! Why? Why are you foiling me?
Wrong way, up, guys! Guys, what's going on? Broken? Seriously? Fine, hold on a second. All right. Well, thank you all for... Guys, I'm out, stop it! Thank you, and welcome to my Halloween special. Tonight, prepare yourself for a night of spooks and scares, as we have invited over some of our most famous friends for some tricks and also some treats. They've all agreed to wear costumes, so see if you could recognize them. Let's see who's at the door. I hope it's not a pirate and a spooky spaceman. From the film Sunset Boulevard, Miss Gloria Swanson. And from Lolita, Mr. James Mason.
I'm a pirate.
Pirate? I don't really...
Jesus Christ. Is that a costume? It doesn't seem to be a costume.
A lot of effort as far as dressing like a pirate goes. I thought we agreed you would wear a costume.
I'm a pirate, can't you tell? It's about the acting. I'm an actor. That's what I do, and when I say I'm a pirate, I'm a pirate. Ah.
Yeah. She's a pirate, Price. My Jolly Roger was at full mast the whole drive over.
Okay, very nice. No spaceman costume, James?
No, didn't even open the box. Too old-fashioned.
The suit was too old-fashioned?
No, I had 2 old fashions and I couldn't open.
All right. Pretty sure if I keep watching that, we're gonna get dinged by the DMCA gods. We must press on. Although we are getting close to the end already, due to the fact that it is Halloween Eve after all, so, you know, gotta get to more Halloween-y type stuff. Halloween-y stuff. We'll get to that soon. We do have some more news. Let's go here to South Korea, where more military drills are continuing to happen as well as the East heats up, seemingly a very
going back to
concerning direction. Oh, hey, thanks for the resubscription, the anti-corporatist. Oh, you're going back to sleep. Okay. Thank you, Matilda, whatever I forget my, what did I say? Penelope? No. What's the robot assistant's name again? Philomena.
The purpose of today's exercise is to test the combat readiness not only of U.S. aviation, but also the ROC aviation and how we partner together.
I wish everybody would just settle down. Unfortunately, that's a little tough because these, you know, in this particular case right now, with relation to South Korea, North Korea has been doing a bunch of very escalatory stuff as of late. But really, I just wish everybody would stop it. But that's where we are right now. Everybody's just missile testing and sort of provoking one another, or God, I mean, it's just it's getting tiresome just how much war and violence being perpetrated right now. It'd be real cool if everybody would settle down. What's this?
Sauron?
Stop.
But it's Donald Trump.
His Trump. No.
Wait, does he have a Donald Trump?
Look, these people are tiny little freaks, okay? They don't wear shoes. They're smoking crack, perhaps, they live in holes in the ground, people. Hey, you see a round door with a knob in the middle. Where does it go to the side? How does the knob in the middle of the door open the door? Folks, we're gonna have a beautiful all black tower, choke the world in smoke, okay? We're gonna have Balrogs. Every orc in Mordor is going to have a Balrog protecting you, okay? And these people, and they say Denethor, by the way, people don't know this, not a real king. Not the real king of Gondor.
The real king of Gondor.
Make Isengard great again!
Yes, we're going to make Middle-earth great again. Folks, listen, people don't understand. I'll tell you this right now. If you ever see Denethor, and I call him Little Tomato, because if you ever see this guy eat tomatoes, what a freak. What a freaky guy. We're going to have so much poison smoke. By the end, you're going to be the age of the orc. You're going to be tired of the age of the orc, okay? We have 9 Nazgul flying. All their horses drowned in a river. Very nasty elf man, Elrond. Very nasty elf made a river come to life.
Made a river come to life.
Who drowns a horse? Beautiful horse. These horses, expensive. The most expensive horses you've ever seen. But I said, no problem.
Brennan, I think you could go on for forever. Holy shit.
I don't know if anybody's ever seen that show, but I do love it. And since it's Halloween, I figured we'd just have some fun. Let's just go on here. Let's go to the Middle East. Last topic of the evening. This was from a few days ago. Shame on you. Shame on you.
אחיי ואחיותיי למשפחת השכול, משפחות יקרות.
Alright, we don't need to hear what he actually has to say. Let's go here to a different ghoul, that being State Department's Matt Miller. Oh, wait. Is this more protests? You already watched it.
משפחות יקרות.
This is a reporter asking Matt Miller, how long is it going to take?
Yeah. You said you don't want to make an assessment either way. Like how long will it take you? Or when will you be able to make an assessment on this operation in northern Gaza? It's been going on for about 3 weeks now. There's reports of 100,000 civilians marooned in these in a few small areas. Supplies unable to get in. I'm not sure if they can get out, but a lot of people probably don't want to leave their homes because they're worried about not being able to go back in. So, what do you need to see to be able to say one way or the other whether the U.S. supports the conduct of this operation?
No, well, I will tell you quite clearly, right now what we're seeing is humanitarian assistance not getting in to the people in Jabalia who need it, and we don't accept that. So if you ask about what we see on the ground, that's one of our assessments, is that the food and water and medicine that needs to get people in Jabalia, they aren't getting it right now, and we want to see that change.
All right, and that means...
Yeah, it's not really a great answer.
Based on what's in the letter, one of the key points of the letter from a few weeks ago is end the isolation of northern Gaza, right? So right. What you seem to be saying right now is, as of now, which is, we're a couple of weeks into a 30-day deadline, Israel is not meeting the U.S. conditions that were set out in that letter.
So without getting into any one of the conditions, obviously at this point they're not meeting all of the conditions of the letter. We made clear there were some things that needed change immediately, other things that would take more time. They have not fully implemented all of the changes that we called for in that letter, and we're going to wait until before we offer a final assessment, we're going to wait till the expiration of the 30 days. It's obviously fair to do that, but we want to see them.
It's obviously fair to do that? Why is it obviously fair? Because we set up some arbitrary line in the sand 12 and a half, 13 months now after. It's obviously fair? No, it's not obviously fair. It's just according to the completely arbitrary rules we just set up. That's the only way. This is the only way it's fair. Certainly not fair for Palestinians, I know that. I mean, it's wildly unfair for them.
I know you've been asked this before, but so if it does turn out that they haven't met these conditions, which it's not just this kind of passive element of there being bureaucratic hurdles, aid not getting in. This is an active operation that's taking place that's causing the conditions that you're talking about. What is the leverage here? What is the threat?
So the letter mentioned that there are various U.S. laws and policies that are implicated by a failure to allow humanitarian assistance to get people who need it, and I think I'll leave it at that. Yeah, keep it. Go ahead.
Right. Okay, Matt. Interesting. So there are laws that prohibit this kind of thing, you say? Sorry, I did not mean to play this video. I meant to go back to the office. Why won't you pause? Oh my god. I was trying to pause that whole time. What was I saying just now? I was talking about Matt Miller. Matt Miller, I mean, he just continues to be just the worst. He just continues to push the talking points without any questions. I mean, he's been going for a full year without any questions during all of this, right? I mean, it's not like they had to replace him with anybody. He's been there at that podium this whole time doing the work of laundering Israel's clearly illegal conduct. And the U.S. is support of it. And it's horrifying to watch. Alright, now let's go to Lebanon and talk about this, as Israeli strikes have been targeting what were supposedly safe areas traditionally, and are completely unrelated to Hezbollah. Shocking.
What you talking about?
In short, we are really shocked right now. We can't welcome people anymore. The situation is very critical in the village, and this is the first time something like this has happened to us. May those who died. During times of crisis, we don't blame them, because some people started getting scared. They were scared that they might rent their... Oops. They might rent their place to someone who turns out to be targeted by Israel. I don't blame them in the case someone is targeted and their building gets damaged because of one person. But this is our current reality. What can we do?
The first thing, when you see all this mass displacement, the first thing you can think of, how can I help? Immediately. And that's what we have in Lebanon, and that's the beauty of Lebanon, is that humanity always comes above politics. So we get lots of questions like, when you go to give the help, is there like a member of Hezbollah waiting for you at the door? But we cannot stereotype, because we're humans, we're all Lebanese, and everyone deserves help. No one deserves to sleep hungry or cold.
She's 100% right about all that.
Mm-hmm.
That's for sure. Simple. Just treat them like humans, you know? Nobody deserves to be starving and being bombed. Especially civilians, you know? That's a given. That is a given. Should be a given. Although we're living in a reality where it seems to be whatever. Keep it together, StreamLord. We only got a few videos to go. Let's go here. Stay with the Associated Press from a day ago. This is showing a protest in Jerusalem. Alright. I honestly don't want to listen to the interviews in here. They are atrocious. Some of them are pretty bad, if you ask me. This is somehow even worse, though. This is earlier today, or well, technically, I think this was from Wednesday in Israel, in the Likud, or in the Knesset, where they are voting in a bill which illegalizes a UN organization. We are voting on the bill as a whole after all reservations have been removed. Voting now. 92 in favor, 10 against. I state that the bill was accepted in the third reading and will enter the law book.
הגשתי, החוק שהעברנו זה עתה, זה לא עוד חוק.
It's a call for justice, a wake-up call that marks a red line. Whoever acts against Israeli citizens, anyone who dares to cooperate or aid terror, Mr. Speaker. I mean, wild. Whoever to suggest that a UN organization is acting against Israeli citizens, one that's intended only to aid Palestinians who are being genocided by Israel right now, is fucking just wild. This is what we're at right now. They've made illegal journalism in Israel. They've made illegal literal aid, human aid, like a UN-backed aid organization. I mean, this is a democracy? Not so sure. Now here is UN Chief Anthony Guterres on the matter. CBC? Yeah, CBC News on the story from earlier.
This morning, there is international reaction to the new Israeli law that bans the UN Palestinian Refugee Agency from operating in the country. The UN Secretary General says the move will have devastating consequences. Sasha Petrusik leads our CBC News team on the ground in Israel. He is live in Jerusalem this hour. This is what we were talking about yesterday, Sasha, this move to get rid of UNRWA, to disallow it in Israel. Tell us about the move itself from Israel and any early reaction to this.
Yes, Heather. This law, actually two laws, were passed very quickly with a very large majority in the Israeli parliament, the Knesset, last night. And they effectively, together, will ban UNRWA from operating in the occupied Palestinian territories, in Gaza, in East Jerusalem, annexed East Jerusalem as well, where Israel is in control. And it has effectively said UNRWA cannot operate in Israel, which means not in these other areas as well.
Exactly. That's what I've been saying this whole time. Right, is that if they say they can't be in Israel, then that means they can't be anywhere in Gaza or the West Bank because Israel controls both. It's just a fact. It's just fucking fact. Even CBC, who's been incredibly pro-Israel for the last year during this entire just horrifying atrocity, even they recognize that fact. All right, let's go here now to Guardian news from a day ago. This is showing the aftermath of another Israeli airstrike, one of which is essentially a daily occurrence in Gaza, killing dozens more people. This is in Bet Lahia. Here's the Guardian news from a day ago. The house of Abu Nasser family in Bet Lahia is formed of 4 floors. There are tens of martyrs, tens of displaced people were living in this house. The house was bombed without prior warning. At least 90 people have been killed in this Israeli airstrike, which hit residential buildings in the northern Gaza town of Bet Lahia. Can't say that name, Brad. Jesus Christ. This is horrifying that we're still seeing these fucking images, that this is still going on. Well, chat, be glad, because we've come to the last of our news stories, second to last, and penultimate, if you will, on videos for this stream here, at least of the this portion of the stream. Although we still are going to be doing a super secret late night after stream, of course. Even though it's an insane time. Let's go here. This is showing, from a day ago, recent satellite photos, leading many to believe Israel recently struck a Iranian Revolutionary Guard missile base in its recent round of attacks.
Satellite pictures taken for and analyzed by the Associated Press show damage at an Iranian Revolutionary Guard base after Israel's strike on the country. These photos show the Sharud spaceport. This is a spaceport that's run by Iran's paramilitary Revolutionary Guard, which answers only to Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. This photos show damage at a main facility there, as well as other buildings and what appears to be a hangar at the site. And these photos are important for a couple of reasons. The first is that it shows damage in Iran's Semnan province. Iran so far hasn't said that any attacks took place in Semnan province. It's not one of the 3 provinces that they initially announced after Israel's attack on Saturday. Secondly, this attack seemed to have targeted a main building that's involved in building Iran's ballistic missiles, the same kind of missiles that were used in Iran's attacks on Israel in April as well as in October. This comes as Iran has already expended some of these ballistic missiles attacking Israel, and as other sites in Iran that were attacked by Israel in this assault were also involved in Iran's ballistic missile program. So that squeezes the program when Iran needs to rebuild it to be as a deterrent against both.
Wow, as a deterrent, really interesting. Interesting, Associated Press. Thank you for that. Interesting. You usually don't hear them frame things like quite in that way, but okay. Last video, and this is a Halloween video, and at least I believe it to be. It's certainly creepy, and this is some AI generated video I found on YouTube. I don't usually watch this kind of stuff, but the thumbnail was maybe one of the creepiest things I'd ever seen, and just genuinely just odd. And I had to click it, and you'll see. This shit is insane. Oh, I think I'm going to turn on... Well, actually, no, I'll leave their music on. It's fine. Look at this shit. It's just like so fucking surrealist and creepy as fuck. Like, look at this. This is what the thumbnail was, which is why I had to click it. I mean, can you blame me? Look at this. This is insane. Me? This is right up my alley. This is exactly the amount of weird that I'm into. And it creeps me out that it's AI and that it's as good as it is. Even though there's definitely, you can see if you're really looking, there's definitely some problems with the hands and some of the other things, but I mean, can you imagine how long it would take to do costumes like this in real life? Is this a new metal band? No. This guy just does only AI generated sort of cinematic type content like this. I looked at his channel. It's very odd. Most of it's very, very weird. This might be some of the weirdest. So creepy. So creepy. It is AI. Yeah, it is. It definitely is. All right. Well, I hope you all enjoyed this show. That's gonna be it for me tonight. Till I see you next, you stay classy, Galactic Stream Nation. Why do I have both songs going right now? What's happening? Can't forget this. These are your galactic patrons: Gabby, Goth Dogs, Aaron W, Schmegley, PB, Midi, Afroponics, Narwhal by Nature, Interplanet Janet, Technopunk, Robot Cat, Disco Wolf, Calibrating, The Anti-Corporatist, Obsessive Audio, Mo Noab, Nadia, Choki, Mrs. Jen, Omega Star, Sasha G, Pitchforks Dragon, Vincent Morales, and Don